Does the real world seem unsatisfying?
It's boring, but it's part of my life.
Well, it's time to level up and reboot reality. Join Toxic Mike and Demonoid as they explore the ever-evolving world of virtual reality and everything it has to offer. Whether you're just starting out or you've been there from the beginning, Reboot Reality will introduce, educate, and guide you to the best in VR. Find it wherever you get podcasts, at toxicradio.net or on the free Toxic Radio app. Reboot Reality. Log in and get immersed. Hey, you. I don't mean to judge, but you don't have enough stuff.
Way to rub it in, jerk.
Know where you can get stuff? We got stuff. Lots of stuff. Get the stuff you need at toxicradio.net or through the free app.
A caveman could do it.
T-shirts, hoodies, mugs, stickers, all featuring your favorite Toxic Radio shows.
Okay, literal goosebumps.
So get off your ass and get your stuff.
I don't think that kind of language is appropriate.
And get some stuff for the people in your life too, you selfish bitch.
You got yourself a deal.
The Toxic Shop. Don't buy it safe. Buy it toxic. All sports talk shows are the same, right?
I am bothered by everything.
You gotta go back to football school.
You call on this guy, it's just immeasurable.
Wrong. In a world filled with talking heads more interested in their own celebrity than actually knowing the sports world, it's hard to find the people who really care about sports first. Look no further. Wire to Wire has it all covered. These guys have the knowledge and the cred to back up their opinions. No hot takes to get attention, just straight up opinions. Know anyone else who correctly called the 2020 World Series and March Madness? How about 70% on the NFL and NCAA football last year? You don't. Bottom line, these guys know their shit. They aren't doing it for attention, they're doing it for passion. Wire to Wire, live every Wednesday, 8:30 Eastern, only on Toxic Radio and wherever you find podcasts.
Welcome to the Wire to Wire Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Gene Walzak, the NFL genius. To my right, I got the man, the myth, the legend, Uncle Shally.
What's going on?
Listen, we gave him a week off. He just got married. He's on his honeymoon, but we have a suitable replacement.
It was unapproved PTO, by the way.
It was approved. I approved it. But Ed Conrey, the man, is in the studio. Guy won the NCAA bracket. He was number 3 or 4. I mean, he had the best bracket if Duke wins. He actually, if Duke wins, it didn't matter who won the national championship. That's how good his bracket was. But because North Carolina beat Duke, he finished 3rd. But I think, this is a good consolation, being here with us.
The Duke legend.
Duke legend. Tell us a little about yourself. You see the website's right below him. If you guys want to, he'll tell you about his baseball bat. This is softball or baseball bats.
Softball.
Ed.
Well, Ed the Head here making his podcast debut. Get to check this off the bucket list. But super excited about being here. 3rd in the NCAA bracket is an awesome consolation prize. I'm super stoked to be here. Representing BigHeadBats.com. If you're looking for your hot softball bats, give us a call. Come visit the site. We have a couple different models to choose from. But, went to Duke. Played a little bit of baseball down there. Had a good career. Was a pro baseball washout. So now I get to hit the big yellow ball and run the short bases.
So I think that you're playing against Bill's team this weekend, right?
Yeah, we got the bracket today.
I need you to text me after that game because if they win, we won't talk about it. But if you guys win, I need to rub it in a little bit.
It will be an interesting battle at 8:45 in the morning on Saturday.
8:45 a.m. See, knowing Bill's team, they'll be late, so a couple guys won't be there until 9.
We don't play well in the morning, so it could be interesting.
We're banking on it.
So we got a lot to get into today. We got NBA, MLB. We got our movie bracket. We have an NFL first time for drafting. We do our top 10 offensive players, top 10 defensive players, and then you got to be kidding me as usual.
Audie and Cottrell are already watching.
I know, I love it. They're on their honeymoon watching.
Go to like dinner or something, Noodles.
No. I want them watching. And Gene, say goodbye to Nova. Come on, dude. That's not the way you do that. Come on.
Who said that?
It's Cottrell talking stuff.
Man. More to come on that later.
I wouldn't say calling it quits, guys. He's retiring. Not calling it quits, but Jay Wright, if you haven't heard the news, Jay Wright seems to be stepping down as head basketball coach at Villanova. We won't comment too much on it until a little bit more information comes out because I don't want to, I don't want to speculate.
I don't either. I mean, I've heard something from somebody who's obviously pretty connected to the school and the program, but, it seems kind of abrupt and out of nowhere, so I would assume something's going on behind the scenes, so I'd rather wait as well.
Okay, so let's talk about the NBA playoffs because that's the most pressing thing right now.
Let's go.
76ers are playing right now. They're up 2-0 versus Toronto. Right now, the 76ers look dominant. They look like they were supposed to look. They've played really good basketball. Tyrese Maxey taking the next step forward. It's funny because we made this joke on the show about Tobias Harris being the fourth option. But I think the fourth option right now is James Harden. None against the guy. The guy plays good basketball, but Tobias Harris stepped up in postseason. Tyrese Maxey's obviously stepped up in postseason. And Embiid is a force. Like, the kid's unstoppable. And Nick Nurse knows it, and he's begging for calls as much as possible.
Yeah. I mean, they have no answer for JoJo whatsoever. They can rotate whoever they want at him. They're doubling them. He's still getting the ball down low in the position. He's driving. They just can't stay in front of him without fouling him. Toby, I mean, this is what we were hoping we were getting from Toby. Gene's favorite whipping boy. But it's I'm okay if Harden's got 10, 12 assists a night and still scoring 20. We're okay there. He just can't disappear. But I mean, they look good. I mean, Toronto. I mean, for a lot of hype was made up on the series about how this was going to be a close series, and Toronto won 3 or 4 in the regular season. And honestly, neither game's been real super competitive down the stretch. We'll see what happens tonight.
This game will be competitive. I actually think this is the one that Toronto wins.
Toronto's up 8 right now.
Yeah, I think this is the one that Toronto wins.
Yeah, I mean, I would feel, first game at home in front of your fans. You lose tonight, you're done. So
correct.
I mean, so it's kind of a do or die for Toronto. We'll see what happens. I mean, they're still got time left in the first quarter, but.
Hey, what are your feelings on the Sixers series so far?
I think James Harden opens the floor. I think the threat of Harden actually is probably the most important thing that opens the floor and opens the offense up to the other two players. Harris is getting a lot of open looks. Maxey's basically, with the floor spread out, has an opportunity to penetrate, dish to Embiid. They're working a good two-man game. I think the biggest thing I saw in this matchup is the lack of defense on Toronto. I think they had one steal in game one. One steal. Like, they're just not winning the turnover battle, and the Sixers are just getting, second, third opportunities of putting the ball, back up off the glass, getting to the free throw line. And I just think that the lack of defense with, a second, third, and fourth option, I think the Sixers just have too much offense over the series. But tonight's game is basically really important to Toronto if they want to have any chance in the series.
I agree with you. Chris Cargan said the Sixers already have 8 turnovers in the first quarter.
I just saw it.
So that's basically where Toronto needs to win the game. They need to be able to turn the Sixers over. So to your point, that's actually very accurate. I look at the series very simple. I think the 76ers are a team that shows up on national television. I think they're a team that shows up in the playoffs. I think they're in for a long run. I said, before the postseason started, I think the 76ers will be in the Eastern Conference Finals. Whether they'll win that is, I don't know. We got to see what happens and what team shows up. But if I had to predict now, I'd say they lose in the Eastern Conference Finals. I think they're going to beat Miami. I think they're going to beat Toronto.
Miami's a way different animal than Toronto is. They can play defense across the floor, every position. I think that's another series where JoJo probably pretty much for the most part gets what he wants, but everybody else is going to be challenging. I mean, like Maxey, Toby, guys like that, like there's going to be defense in their face in that series.
Yeah, you'll have Lowry on Maxey. You'll have Jimmy Butler on James Harden.
Yeah, that's going to be a grueling series. That's going to be a physical series. that's going to be you'll see real quick what kind of grit and toughness this team has when we play in Miami. That's the type of series that's going to be.
I don't disagree with you. I just think the 76ers are a better basketball team than they are. And we can both talk about both those teams playing the next round because I think both of them will look just as dominant. I don't know who's been more dominant, actually. I think the Sixers might be, but judging by the start to tonight and Toronto's, I think is going to take this one. I think that Miami doesn't lose a game in that series.
Miami's a real close second.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
Miami's been dominating.
Dominating.
Trae Young just doesn't have a supporting cast. I mean, he could put 35 up, and they still are trying to overcome a deficit from the other 4 players on the floor. And Jimmy Butler is averaging 33 a game. I mean, he's getting what he wants as a scorer. He's getting to the line. He's shooting the ball well from beyond the arc. He's above 33% from beyond 3. So that guy is really, really good in the playoffs. So
Jimmy Buckets, I agree with you. I think that Kyle Lowry, I don't agree with you that Trae Young doesn't have a supporting cast, because I think he does. But I think that when he's not going, when you have a point guard that can play defense the way Kyle Lowry can, it actually limits all their supporting cast, because their supporting cast, if not one thing, they're not very good at creating their own shot. I think they're perfect when Trae Young's rolling. I think, John Collins, I think their team is not bad when Trae Young's got it going. But if you have a point guard like Kyle Lowry in his grill the entire game, that makes it so much tougher, because they play off Trae Young constantly. He's obviously their best player. By the way, I've seen a statistic. So somebody brought something up, and I wanted to just get your thoughts on it for weird off-the-wall topic. But they had, so like every sport they judge, like the most hits in a season is a cumulative sport. The most touchdowns in a season, the most yards in a season. But for basketball, they do it most points per game, right? So it's like most points per game. Do you know what players scored the most points total this year? Like Joel Embiid won the scoring title, but he didn't score the most points total.
Yeah, man,
he was actually third.
It's points per game. I think he didn't take a lot of time off.
I gotta give you a little hint. It's very relevant to what we're talking about right now.
I mean, Trae Young's probably one of them.
Trae Young is one. Trae Young scored the most points total this year. So the fact that he was limited to 9 points in game one, they're never going to win a game that way.
Yeah, I mean that's one of those things. I mean, you guys both touched on already. If especially if a crew is going to let a Jimmy Butler or a Kyle Lowry, especially get away with playing a little bit physical against him, it's not his game. It's not what he wants to do. And he's struggling. And like you said, I mean, I think John Collins is out. I think.
Yeah, he's out. He's hurt.
Yeah, so
we're talking about his cast the whole.
No, I get it. I'm saying they're missing him already, and if you're only getting 9 out of Trae Young a night, then Atlanta's probably not winning many basketball games.
So we don't really need to talk much about the Bucks. They're dominating Chicago.
I mean, the second game was
closer.
Close. I mean, that went down in the last 2 minutes. But yeah, I mean, Milwaukee's going to win that series.
The other series in the Eastern Conference that we got to talk about is Boston versus Brooklyn. So, like, you look at game one, right, with Boston winning the series, or winning the game, last second play, Boston, it's very, very telling of what Boston's trying to do. They had a great defensive possession, and they passed the ball 4 times and got it to Jason Tatum for the rolling layup to win the game. You would think that Boston would come out of that game feeling great, getting that win. I have the opposite opinion. I think if I'm Brooklyn and I know Kevin Durant played terrible, and I know that Boston needed the last second shot to win the game still, to only win by 1 on their home court, I feel great. I feel awesome. I still say Brooklyn in 6. I said that last week. What are your thoughts on the series? Ed, I'll start with you, my friend.
I think this is a really good series. I really do, because it comes down to really 4 players: Tatum and Jaylen Brown, and Irving and Durant. And I think that the combination of players that play the most consistent in their ability to make shots and shut down the opposing players are going to probably be the favorite to win the series. I just think that right now it comes down to the ability to make threes, the ability to get to the free throw line. Those guys can really just deplete each other. And I think that what you saw was Boston pulling one really out of their ass. And walking out of that building feeling very lucky to come away with a win. They had 4 guys score more than 20 points. They had 4 guys score more than 20 points. They move the ball around on offense. I think that if they do that, they'll be more successful and they'll wear down Brooklyn. But if Brooklyn gets hot, with Irving and Durant playing a 2-man game and spacing the floor, that's going to be a tough. I mean, those guys are arguably the 2 best guys in basketball on any given night.
Yeah, scoring the basketball, I agree with you. I wouldn't say they're too but yes, scoring the basketball, you're absolutely
100%.
correct. I'll make a counterpoint before I go to Bill here. I think Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Kyrie, and KD are going to. You said it's a 4-person series, and I agree with you as far as star power. I think the reason Boston won that first game was a guy that we got rid of, Average Al. Average Al was unstoppable. He's unguardable. I don't know what happened. He just turned back the clock. But Average Al, if he can get what he wants, because Brooklyn's got nobody that can defend him.
Well, I mean, you're going to,
because Drummond can't defend him when they play it that.
No, Drummond can't guard him outside.
Correct. So that's and then you have to double. If you have to double Average Al, it opens the entire floor up.
It does. I mean, I'll get into this because, I mean, I didn't check the box score on him. He's playing tonight, but they're going to get Aldridge back at some point, and that's going to be your answer for Al. He's going to play. I mean, then we have the elephant in the room with what's going to happen with Ben. They're saying game 4 now. So, I mean, that's going to be another whole interesting twist into this series because I think, regardless of what he does on the offensive end, if he comes back and he's healthy and he can move, I'm assuming he's going to follow Tatum around. So, it's another advantage for the Nets. I agree with you. I thought this was a series we thought it was going to be. It's already shaping up to be that. It's a shame it's a first-round series. It's a shame we're going to lose one of these teams to go home right away.
No, it's not.
I think it is.
I hate both of them.
You can hate both of them, but I mean,
it's not a shame. I want them to go home.
In regards to regards of good NBA basketball, it sucks that one of these teams is going home in the first round.
I just want to give a funny point real quick. I'm going to give both you guys a guess. Neither one of you guys looked at the box score, right? 3 players are tied with 16 points. If you can get one of them, I'll be happy. 3 players are tied with the leading score right now in that game with 16 points. Try to get one. One's pretty obvious. I just kind of brought him up. But Horford's one.
Look at Curry.
Curry is not. No, he's 14. Not bad.
Tatum.
Close. No Tatum.
Marcus Smart.
No Smart. No Brown. No Kyrie. No KD.
Wow.
The leading scorers in that game right now are Bruce Brown, Goran Dragic, and Al Horford. Isn't that wild?
I mean, Goran had a pretty good game.
No, I get it.
Game 1, especially since it being the first time he played since coming back from COVID.
I think it goes back to what I said earlier about their offense. They move the ball around. They're not real one-dimensional.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And I think that if they're consistent with their sticking to that philosophy of moving the ball around, taking open shots, not relying on the 3, penetrating, getting to the line, I think they could steal the series. But if they're missing those shots and those supporting cast members aren't getting 15, 16 points through that game, it's going to be a tough series.
Sixers are getting boat raced right now. Down 17.
So, it's okay. It's okay. I'm okay. I already marked this down as a loss for Sixers. We were live during the show, so I knew they weren't going to win. But let's go to Western Conference. Memphis put their statement game out there versus Minnesota. Minnesota came back, beat them the first game, and then Memphis hold on. We're the 2 seed for a reason, and beat it by 30. I think Memphis takes over in that series. I honestly still think I think they can win the series in 5, maybe 6. I don't think they'll lose another game. I really don't.
See, I think they split Minnesota. I think they split on Minnesota this way. I'll say 6. Because I think when they go back to Minnesota for game 6, I think Memphis will win there.
Okay. Just quick thoughts on that series.
If Karl Anthony Towns plays the way he did in that game that he took over, he literally took over and was playing like Joel Embiid plays. Like he was making shots inside, outside. They were literally getting the ball to him. and he was working through double teams and finding ways to score, and he just decided that he was not going to be denied. And I think that that's just that you see players like that are in that top 20, top 30 player echelon of the NBA that show up in big games. And that was kind of a statement game for him when he came out and he put on a show. It was really fun to watch him play. I watched the highlights of that game a couple times, and it was kind of watching him when he was back at Kentucky, where he was just a man among boys. The size played, his ability to make shots played, and it was just his night. But he's going to have to play like that the rest of the series for them to
have a chance.
To have any chance.
See, the thing to me is he has to hit his outside shots, and obviously he won the 3-point contest, so he can. But he's not going to score much in the paint versus Steven Adams. Steven Adams is stronger than him by a lot. It's more of just him pulling Steven Adams away from the basket. I just think Memphis plays better team basketball than any team left.
They're a very good defensive team.
They do.
Just team basketball. I'm not saying they're the best team. They're obviously not the most talented. I just think they play great team basketball.
They do. They're very unselfish, and they play very well together. I mean, we've talked about it on the show before as well. You know, a lot of those guys they've all, for lack of a better term, they've all come up together. You know, between Ja, Dylan Brooks, like all those guys, like they've all been together for a couple years now. It's a young team. You know, it's something they've all built together, and that camaraderie shows on the court. They're definitely the better team. Again, I think Minnesota will get some kind of emotional win at home. I think it'll go 2-2 back to Memphis. I think Memphis will probably smash them again, and then I think they'll close in Game 6.
It's fair. I said 5-6, but it just in my head, I thought Memphis like hit the burners on them last game and just really showed the difference in his overall team.
To your point, I mean, you had to come out with a statement game. You lost Game 1 on your home floor. You have to come out with more jump. You have to come out with more fire. I mean, you can't go down 0-2 on your home court.
100%. I agree with you. Speaking of home court losses for a top seed, Phoenix, they lost Devin Booker. He's going to be out for a couple games.
Saying 2.
At least 2.
It's tricky.
And they lost the game at home, which is, you know, for everything that happened that game, with Booker having 31 in the first half, then getting hurting his hamstring, and obviously them going on a huge run, I still look at that game like, man, you needed New Orleans to go nuts with Brandon Ingram. He had 38, 11, and 8. Like, you needed him to go nuts to win that game. Like, the final score is 11-point game, but it was a 4-point game with 2 minutes left. That's what that was. Chris Paul shot the ball really bad after shooting the ball really good the first game. Shot it terribly. He was great at setting people up, but at one point, New Orleans was like, you're not shooting well. We're not doubling off you. You shoot, you make it. Missed a couple big threes, and, you know, New Orleans won the game. I don't know if Brandon Ingram can give you 2-3 more games like that. How much trouble, or when do you feel like Phoenix gets in trouble with Devin Booker's injury? Do you feel like it's this series? Do you feel like if he's not back by next series, it could be a problem? Because they'd be playing the winner of Dallas, Utah, which I think is walking wounded themselves.
Well, I mean, Dallas is. I mean, but it's looking like Luka's going to play tomorrow night. So, I mean, I don't know where he's at percentage-wise, but I think Phoenix has to, you know, roll the proverbial dice here. I think you have to sit him. I do. You know, we were talking right before we came on air. I wouldn't play him at all. I think they have enough to beat. To your point, I think they have enough to beat them without him. I think they have enough depth between Johnson and Bridges and all those guys to pick up the slack. I don't think you're going to get 35 from Ingram every freaking night to where that's really going to become a tough series. I think you sit him and you let him heal, because if not, you know, you can say what you want, but playing Dallas and playing Utah is a different animal. And if he's not going to be 100% in that series, then I think they could get in trouble.
So, real quick, I just have to pause for a minute. Can you throw up the last comment?
Uh-oh.
I just want to throw it up. The last one by Lisa. I think this is super cool. So I just wanted to pop, if you don't, I pop it on the screen real quick.
Uh-oh.
No? Anybody? Lisa Jean Conrey, sorry.
I see it.
Mira says, that's my daddy.
Here we go.
I love it. I just needed to throw it. I thought that was super cool. So
Hi, Mira.
But let's get back to the series. So I think that Phoenix has enough to beat Utah, Dallas, or New Orleans without Devin Booker. I think they will have a huge issue. I don't even think they're going to beat Golden State with a healthy Devin Booker. So my pick now coming out of the West is Golden State. I think Golden State is the best team in the West right now. Jordan Poole is playing out of his mind. Steph Curry coming off the bench right now is a cheat code. Klay Thompson's playing well. Draymond Green's playing well. Draymond Green is destroying the MVP. Destroying Nikola Jokic. Like, absolutely dominating him. I say the MVP because the votes are out. I can tell you who won all the awards. Like, it's absolute a joke. Like, they should hold that in. Writers should not be able to talk about what their vote is until after the vote comes out. I know every award winner. Scotty Barnes won Rookie of the Year. Ja Morant won most improved player. It's all done. It's over.
It's what people want, dude. Same thing with the Hall of Fame thing. Then nobody ever used to release their votes before. There was actually like intrigue before the announcement. Now you know who's getting in and who's not.
Yes, Zach. Does Golden State sweep Jokic and the Nuggets? Yes. If Denver wins one game, it's tomorrow night. Or Thursday, whatever it is, or Friday.
I agree with that.
I think they get swept, though.
And going back to the Booker, no Booker, Chris Paul has to play well.
Yeah,
he
played
has
great
to.
Game 1.
He has to play well.
You're sitting next to the biggest Chris Paul fan in the history of basketball.
No, I'm not the biggest Chris
has
Paul
to
fan.
play
You
well.
guys just hate on him.
If he shoots
You
18% from the
don't.
field, that's going to be a real tough series to win without Booker.
Well, he played out of his mind Game 1. He just had a really bad Game 2, and I can give anybody a bad game.
They need DeAndre Ayton to step up. He's got to have the ability to match up on the inside and score.
Agreed. And I'll give Valanciunas all the credit in the world. The kid played great underneath the basket. And, like, he was pushing Ayton just like Ayton was pushing him. It was not like a dominant performance like Ayton should have versus a Valanciunas.
Absolutely. I don't think this game is a 3-0 sweep from where we are today.
No. If Booker doesn't play, I think the Suns still win it in 6. I don't think they get pushed to 7. But I agree with you.
I think Suns in 6, but I wouldn't be surprised if it goes to 7. I really wouldn't. But if Chris Paul has the coin flip series like he has so far, it could go to 7 games. And I think they win 4-3.
If you're Monty Williams, you're playing to win a championship, though. Rushing Booker back, like, you roll the dice. Bill's absolutely correct. You roll the dice because you rush him back and it gets worse. You have no chance of winning a championship.
No, because
so you have to figure out a way to win the series without him.
Yeah, because then you're guaranteed. I mean, if you've played athletics at all, and you've probably pulled your hamstring at some point. It's not a quick injury to come back from. These guys are in great shape. They heal faster. They have around the clock care. So forth and so on. But it's something that becomes nagging very quickly. And if it's not healed and you lose, you go play at Dallas or Utah, or you talk about the finals, you lose him before that where he's missing that whole series, they're not winning. They're not.
Yo, if Luka plays at all, like instead he's playing in Game 3 and he bits 70%, there's zero chance they lose that series. Utah looks terrible, and I'm telling you right now, you know what Utah looks like? Donovan Miller demanding a trade as soon as the season's over.
Mitchell.
That's what Donovan Mitchell, sorry, demanding a trade as soon as the season's over. They look like did you see, I know we talked about it before, but did you see the pass statistics, Donovan Mitchell to Rudy Gobert? Like the statistics by season, how many times he passes to him? So when Rudy Gobert first got in the league, he was throwing to him 6.4 times per game. Like, he was passing the ball. The point guard passing the ball or the 2 guard, passing the ball. The best player passing to the second best player on the team. Passing the ball to Gobert. Then it was 6.3. Then it was 5.8. After the incident with the microphone.
The COVID.
2.4, bro. That's a big, it's not like that. And Quinn Snyder's already talking about going to LA.
I don't know, what's that freaking job, dude?
Quinn Snyder, I think he's top 5 coach in the NBA right now.
I like Quinn Snyder. I just wouldn't go to that dumpster fire right now.
I mean, if they give you autonomy, tell you to clean it up.
What's the autonomy? You no flexibility to do anything. If you can't get
You
rid of
have
Russell,
no draft picks in Russell Westbrook.
yeah,
Right?
if unless you con somebody to take Russell Westbrook, you're coaching the same damn team that just got coached this year.
Yeah, you're right.
LeBron, the franchise wrecker.
Just want to plug Quinn Snyder, Duke guy.
You know,
Duke guy.
you talked to him before.
I've talked to him.
Awesome coach.
Very good coach. I mean,
Awesome coach.
he coached under Coach K. He is absolute. It's discipline, but he also treats the NBA guys like professionals. You can just tell in the post game press conferences, he just has a way with his players. He gets guys to play at a certain level, and he can deal with the the personalities because of his own playing career. I think it's easier to coach guys when you've done it and when you haven't been able to do it.
Well, you have that level of respect you also demand and get from the players. But anybody will tell you if you coach at the professional level, that's the big difference between college and pro. Like, you have to be able to deal with the athletes, for lack of a better term, the egos and everything else. Like, you have to be able to relate to your players. And if they buy in and, they trust you and believe in you, then you get guys to play hard for you. It's no different than anything else.
So, last question I have on NBA, and then we'll move on to MLB. How far did the Warriors go? They look really good.
I don't know how long. I mean, I think once Steph is feeling better, I think they go back to their normal starting five. But listen, this is, there was a couple teams. Brooklyn was one of them, and Golden State was kind of the same way. Like, they didn't really have their starting five playing all year. You had Draymond out for a while. Clay wasn't back yet. Then Clay came back. Draymond got hurt again. Steph was there. Then Steph got hurt. Draymond came back. Like, again, I think I think Kerr gets a little bit underappreciated for how good of a coach he actually is, because people just look at the talent that's been on the team and how much he's won. But I mean, he's a good coach. You look at the spats they've had between him and Draymond, even Curry, Durant, when they were all there, but it's always been worked out, and they all say the same thing at the end, that, they respect him and he's a great coach, and, they talk it out and everything's fine. They're a really good team. And you have Jordan Poole, like you said, he's playing out of his mind.
Out of his mind, and for a month. It's not like a couple days.
I mean, damn near all year, to be honest.
He could have won Most Improved Player, too.
He could have. I think he was shocked that he really wasn't a finalist. I don't know how that happened, but they're really good. They're really good.
So how far to go? That's the question.
I don't think there's any. If they're not in the conference finals, at least, I'm shocked.
So did you see the new Def lineup?
No.
They're literally at some point in the game. If Draymond Green can stick Nikola Jokic, they're playing a lineup of Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, Jordan Poole, and Draymond Green. How do you play basketball versus that team?
I say it every year.
Well, you're sure it's not going to outscore them, so.
I say it every year when we went back to coaching. Steve Kerr won championship after championship in Chicago. Mm-hmm. He found a way to win basketball games as a player, and he's absolutely translated that, as a coach. Year in and year out, that team performs well. But when you get into the NBA playoffs, the best team doesn't win the championship. It's the team that plays the best in the playoffs. And all I can say is, after watching that game, the majority of that game, I was like, it's going to take a mountain of a team and an effort and guys to just blow it up to beat that team.
A healthy Phoenix team, in my opinion, is the only team in the West that can compete with them. Compete. I'm not saying beat. Compete.
I mean, I think there's a way. I mean, here, this is the only thing we have to watch here. Like, I don't want it to be an overreaction or anything, but this is also like what we knew Denver was going to run to it eventually. Like, they got in, they did what they did, but you have Draymond who's sticking Jokic, and there's nobody else. Like that's what that team is right now, unfortunately. They're not going to have that luxury against Phoenix. Phoenix has 7 guys that can score, just like Golden State does. That's a hell of a series. That's what I hope we get with a healthy Booker. I don't want to say they're unbeatable. I mean, because I could easily see Phoenix winning that series.
A healthy Phoenix.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Because you have 5 guys that play defense on Phoenix. Chris Paul, Mikal Bridges, Devin Booker plays defense.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. They match up well.
Jay
with
Crowder,
them.
They match up really well. Yeah. I think the biggest issue will be, can Draymond Green control Ayton like he is Jokic? Because if they can do that and play that small ball lineup, that's the difference, in my opinion. But we'll get into that later when we get there. So, how far do you think Golden State can go, Ed? Finals. Or winning it.
I think hamstring injuries are hard to come back from. You're literally you're running up and down the court, and you're putting pressure on the inside and outside of your leg. And if that tweaks, especially if he tries to get off the ground or elevate on a jump shot or penetrate to the hole, he's out the rest of the playoffs with this injury. And now you're losing your best scorer. And you're literally taking a knife to a gunfight in that series.
Don't read what you're going to read, because I know what you're going to read.
What? Kevin the Troll has the best comment tonight right now. He said, I think it had a little to do with Jordan. Kerr averaged 6 points a game. That's a great line, though.
It is.
That's a little to do with Jordan.
But he still has a lot of rings.
No, you're right. He's a winner.
Don't
I just
pay
thought
him
it was
any mind.
funny.
He thinks he can beat Diana Taurasi 1-on-1. Don't
He
just
said
pay
that.
no mind to
He
him.
said he could beat Diana Taurasi 1-on-1 in basketball.
Gene said he could beat up Ronda Rousey too. So
I can. 100%.
God.
Stop it. I'm not going to do that now. MLB. Buy or sell, overreactions. Shalley's got a list. We don't know the questions. This is not set up. I just want to know. And I think some of it will come up, but we'll talk about the Phillies, I promise. But Shalley's got a list. Me and Ed are going to naturally react to it, and we'll see where we come out.
Some of these are overreactions. Some of it's hot stove stuff. Some of it's just general discussion. What your gut reactions are to some of them.
Love it.
So I'll go first with the first one. I'll just go right down the list the way I wrote them. Is Hunter Green the next great power pitcher? And by great, I mean we're talking about 10 years from now that he's DeGrom or somebody like that.
Overreaction. I think he can be really good. And obviously, I know he's throwing the ball 100 miles an hour, broke the record, was 39 times in a game.
Yep.
Unreal. Overreaction, though. Listen, Noah Syndergaard was supposed to be that guy. But, like, when you throw the ball that hard that many times, has a little to do with your arm.
It does.
So, overreaction, in my opinion.
I'm gonna say pretty accurate. I've been tracking this guy for the last couple of years, and his arm has come under scrutiny plenty of times, and it keeps getting healthier and healthier and healthier. He hasn't had any arm trouble. They actually shut him down throughout the season. They've been very careful with bringing him up, and I don't think that throwing the ball as hard as he does, with the throwing mechanics and his mechanics the way that they're.
Yep.
We talk about this all the time, with youth baseball. Arm care being, one of the most important things as an athlete. You only get one thunderbolt in life, and you got to take care of it. And they've been very conscious about keeping him healthy. So I think with modern baseball, modern medicine, being so, prevalent in Major League Baseball and shutting guys down, especially, if they're going to be 2-12, for the, 2-10 right now is where they're at. You'll see him pitch a lot of games and get his feet wet, but they're probably going to shut him down, throughout the season. And they're not going to, if he gets any sort of a shoulder injury or pain or anything, or, fatigue, they'll probably shut him down. But I do definitely think that he has not just the fastball, he has other pitches. He pitches well with men on base out of the stretch. Yep. I think he absolutely could be the next DeGrom. I definitely think that there's a possibility.
I love that thought process.
He's a bigger kid. To Ed's point too, it's his mechanics. He's not a max picture guy. He's not a guy that's trying to, he's not pushing off the rubber, at max effort every time. His delivery and his velo is very natural. It's very easy for him. I agree with that as well. I think you'll see him. They will absolutely skip starts in the rotation for him at some point this year.
Do you think he'll be the next absolute?
Hard to argue against it. I mean,
Okay.
Listen, the averages are on your side with what you said. With somebody getting hurt, anything like that. But to Ed's point too, Tommy John's not a death sentence anymore. It's just not.
No, it's just a 2 years not playing baseball.
It's not even two. I mean,
it's been for a lot of the power pitchers.
I mean, Syndergaard had it late last year. He's throwing harder now than he was 2 years ago. It's just too easy to come back from. And what most people don't realize is he was actually drafted. When they drafted him, there was very long discussions about he's an amazing shortstop. And they had a long discussion about if they were going to keep him playing shortstop, playing every day. He's a really good hitter, or if they were going to make him a pitcher. And he's, he let them make the decision. From everything I've read and seen, I mean, he just seems like a really good kid too. He listens. He's very coachable. I picked him for Rookie of the Year for a reason. I literally, the moon is the ceiling for him. I think he's
You're not gonna go with the Jordan line. The ceiling is the roof.
No.
All right, what's the next one?
All right. Well, this one's pertaining to somebody that Ed already brought up briefly. When it's all said and done, when they're both retired, who ends up the better hitter? Miguel Cabrera, Albert Pujols.
I mean, it's basically all said and done. So I know what his answer is going to be, and I'm telling you, my answer is going to disagree with yours. I think that Miguel Cabrera is one of the best pure hitters you'll ever watch. Miguel Cabrera hits the ball opposite field, hits it for average. Albert had too short of a window. I think at Albert's peak, he was better than Miguel Cabrera ever was. But I think that Miguel Cabrera is a better hitter. better hitter of the baseball. Like, think Tony Gwynnish. Obviously, he's not Tony Gwynn, but think Tony Gwynnish.
I think that is probably the coolest question I've ever been asked about baseball. And I'm not exaggerating, because you're literally talking about arguably the two best right-handed hitters in the last 15 years of the game. Mm-hmm. You could put the first 10 years of Albert Pujols' career against anybody.
I agree.
Anybody that's ever picked up a bat. Anybody. And it matches up as good, if not better, than any 10 years of anybody's career. However,
Miggy did it for 25.
You put
20.
You put the best 5 years of Cabrera's career when he was a Triple Crown winner.
Yep.
You're talking about he did things that haven't been done for 40, 50 years in the game. So I don't disagree. I think that the last few years of Pujols' career, hanging on to a career, has absolutely ruined his legacy. It really has. He now is below a 300 hitter.
That's the big number that's going to kill him. But depending on what kind of year he has, you get to 700. That's
Correct.
That's a big number, and especially you had 714.
I love the question though. The question's awesome.
It's really one of the coolest baseball questions I've ever been asked.
Spot on, Shally.
Always. I slightly lean Pujols because I don't know if Cabrera's going to do the same thing. He's still got a couple years left on his deal. I don't know how long he hangs on because he's still sitting at 310 right now. I think he needs like 5 or 6 more hits for 3,000. He's already at 500. Pujols is just on a different tier though. He's got more RBIs, more runs. He's 21 away now from 700, which again is a holy grail number in baseball.
Within reach.
It is within reach,
especially with the universal DH.
Yeah, he's going to have his legs all year. He's just going to DH. So I slightly lean Albert Pujols, in my opinion.
It's fair. Hey, listen, I'm not going to argue against it. I respect the hell out of Albert Pujols. I just think, like, hitter of the baseball, pure overall hitter, Miggy's better. That's just my opinion, though.
Next one. Which big free agent has been the biggest disappointment so far?
You got to give me a second there.
All right.
Talking about just this year?
Yeah.
Like 12 games?
Yep. There's quite a few to pick from.
I'll just stay home and say Kyle Schwarber.
Okay.
About like 130.
In a nuke today, though.
He did. He's going to. He's going to be fine. So, like, saying his disappointment at 12 games is kind of like an overreaction. Listen, if you brought him here to be your leadoff hitter, that is a mistake. But with that being said, you can't give up on that after 6 games.
I don't think they signed him to specifically do that. I think it's just the way the lineup is constructed and the limited options we have to put anybody else there.
Fair. Kevin Troll said LeBron, AD, and Westbrook. Love him.
I would say Schwarber just because he's home, and it's painful to watch right now. I had high hopes. I was one of the guys that basically was all over social media when they got him, and I thought that he was going to be a guy that added immediate value.
He will be. So I'm sure we'll get into the Phillies, so I'm going to hold my points there. And if we don't, I'm going to bring them up anyway. But I'll get into it. I think that. Well, let's continue.
That's fine. This will be a fun one. Come year end, based upon what you've seen so far, which team rules New York this year? The Mets or the Yankees?
The Mets. Not close. It's not close.
Mets.
Yankees still don't have pitching. I love
the Yankees are the Phillies in the American League. Same friggin' team.
And this is for everybody that's in the softball community in New Jersey and
big
on
guys.
my team. And on my team, the Yankees are terrible. And I have multiple players from the Yankees on my fantasy team because you guys talked me into doing that, and I am absolutely getting slaughtered because I got talked into that. And I definitely think that the Mets made a lot of moves, and I think Mad Max is probably the biggest guy that has changed the dynamic of that pitching staff.
If you remember, I don't think I picked the. No, I didn't pick the. No, I picked him as their wild card.
Yeah. Switch gears a little bit here, just because there's been some news about it this year and this offseason as well. In our lifetime, do we ever see a woman become the manager of a major league ball club?
Yes.
Yes.
You already have a woman GM.
GM is different, but yeah.
I get it, but yeah.
The Yankees have their low A ball. is now, they have a woman manager. Can't remember her name. And then the Giants, I believe, just named their first
Base coach.
base coach.
Yep.
She's the first African American. I don't know in our lifetime, but I think it's soon. I mean, if you gave me like, I knew we were gonna die, it'd be an easier answer. But
Fair point.
I don't think it's a matter of if. I think it's a matter of when.
Yeah.
I think it's
But in our lifetime, so the next 20, 30 years,
you're gonna need
if we got that in us.
It's just it's a matter of one of the
Definitely in Control's lifetime.
Yeah, it's one of those teams that's going to be progressive enough to make the jump. And I think you're starting to see it more and more, like you're seeing with analysts, play-by-play, like on ESPN, everything. They're starting to bring a lot of the women from softball, getting into the baseball mold, learning the game a little bit more, and grooming them. So I definitely think you're going to see it sooner than later in our lifetime.
I listened to a woman do a play-by-play on a collegiate baseball game, and I was not disappointed.
No.
And I, man, woman, if you can't call a game, it doesn't matter, what gender you are, you can't call a game. And I was not disappointed. I
know. I mean, you see in other sports too. I mean, you see in the NBA, Doris Burke forever. I mean, I'll listen to Doris Burke before I'll listen to a lot of other people do a game. I think she's great. This one actually came up today at work, and then I decided to add it because it was an interesting discussion. Do you think the Shohei rule being introduced this year is an unfair advantage to the Angels?
Absolutely not. You talking about the rule where a DH can pitch and then become a DH?
Yes.
Absolutely not. I think that's great for baseball. I think if you didn't change that rule, you're tone deaf. And that's what baseball's done for years. They've been absolutely tone deaf to changes that they need to make. I absolutely not. I want to see Shohei Ohtani play, right?
Absolutely.
You want to see him play, right?
Absolutely.
It's like why the hell are we making stupid rules to not make it an unfair advantage? Because we want to live by the code.
It's not so much a code. It's the argument against it is it saves the Angels from making a move every game if they want to do that. And then since they are the only one that legit benefit from it, a lot of people think it's an unfair rule for the Angels. That's the counter argument. I don't agree with it, but that's the counter argument.
At the end of the day, find pitchers that can hit.
Yeah,
exactly.
All I can say is if the DH rule came out 20 years ago, I think about what that would have done for my career, other careers. Mm-hmm. It would have given at least 30 players in minor league baseball a job.
100%.
And I think that it's long overdue. I think that anything that puts another offensive player in the game, I think it basically levels the playing field across both leagues. I think it's allowing more offense and a lot more excitement to kind of enter the sport. And it does differentiate a guy like Shohei Ohtani. He is arguably one of the better players in the game on both sides of the field.
Listen, make something very clear. The fact that the National League was still batting pitchers up until last year just proves how tone deaf Rob Manfred is and the MLB organization.
Don't get me started on Robbie.
Give me the next one. We got time for a couple more.
We got two more.
Perfect.
Staying in the rules category because this is going to be a hot topic for next year. How do we feel about the shift being banned next year?
Great.
I love it.
It's great.
I might come out of retirement. I just think that I think I understand why teams gravitated towards it. I think it's one of the
strategic
horrible byproducts of sabermetric baseball.
Yep.
And
where's the bell? Hit it.
And it's one of those things where I think it really brought about an unfair change in the way baseball was practiced. You got away from some of the things that made the game fun and interesting. You made it almost a one side of the field type of game.
Yep.
By the way, I want to make a comment to all the idiots that say, well, just hit it the other way. Just hit it the other way. You're an idiot, okay? Because I play like softball that goes 8 miles an hour, and it's not easy to hit the other way. You're going to 95-mile-an-hour fastball? Get the hell out of here. Shut up.
If you have pitchers throwing 95 on the inner half, you're not hitting it the other way.
Correct. What are we talking? Correct.
It's people... Again, there's too much. I am a big proponent. I'm a traditionalist. I mean, we've talked about it on the show numerous times. I and the deluge of analytics in baseball. I can't stand it. The fact that you guys have guys making $30 million a year that can't bunt. There's no small ball anymore. Baseball.
Well, that's all I wanted to get into. I hope you have a Phillies question.
Baseball at its most purest form. People don't realize how much strategy is involved in baseball. If you don't know what you're looking at, you don't know what you're watching. Like it's totally understandable, but it's something you learn from a young age when you get into the game. To Gene's point, the people that are like, oh, just go the other way, or just bunt, or just do this. It's not realistic. If you're in a batter's box and you have Jacob deGrom throwing a 95-mile-per-hour cutter on your hands, I promise you nobody on this planet is hitting a double down the left field line. It's just not happening. It's just the pitchers are too good now. They're too accurate. And to Gene's point, this isn't softball where you have 3 seconds to move your feet and do every other damn thing and go oppo. That's not what baseball is. You have guys that are throwing the ball 95 plus on the inner 2 inches of the plate. Yeah, so for you to get your hands in and try to hit that ball down the opposite foul line, that's unrealistic. So there is no doing that. I can't wait. I think it's going to allow a lot of guys to get in the box and just swing, be who they are. I'm tired of seeing second baseman 50 feet into the outfield fielding ground balls. I can't stand any of it. So I'm the happiest about that rule, probably more than anybody.
Awesome.
I can't tell you the amount of times I went, yes.
Yeah.
Oh no.
No. Yeah. No.
Whenever I seen a guy lace one into center field to a one-hopped second baseman to throw a force out to the pitcher covering second.
Yeah. Fielder's choice. Love it.
It's just ridiculous.
This is really early, but I think it's good. I think it's a good discussion. Who do you think the biggest name is traded before the deadline this year?
Who's the kid from Baltimore?
Mullins.
Mullins.
I don't know if they're going to trade him, but
They are.
That's a good name, though. I'd have to know what.
Cedric Mullins. Jesus, I don't know why I forgot his name.
Getting old, bro. You just start forgetting stuff.
I
That's what
forget, dude, my
happens.
cousin's name. Sorry if you're listening. Hey, Bud, if you hear me say, hey, Bud, I forgot your name. 100%. Bud is like me saying, I don't remember your name.
I think Aroldis Chapman. I think they're probably going to make a move if he continues to not be able to find strike zone. I think they're probably going to make a move to try to offload the salary, maybe bring some of these other guys up that are in the 7th, 8th inning, and probably just cut their losses. If he cannot find the strike zone, this guy walked 3 guys in a row the other night, and he didn't have a clue where the ball was going. And it's painful because he did such a great job bringing back that big time, big arm, 105 mile an hour, closer to the biggest franchise in baseball. But right now, he is the furthest thing from being a good, reliable closer for any organization, and wouldn't be surprised if they offload that salary and look to, find a formidable arm to kind of help that team turn it around.
I feel like that would be kind of a signal of them giving up at that point then, though.
I think the Yankees will give up. I think they're that bad. I was so wrong about them being the 3rd wild card. I think they stink.
I'm all for Chapman getting traded, though, because he's a scumbag. So.
But you didn't have a Phillies question.
No, we can talk about
I'm going to be really quick with it because we got to get right in the movie bracket, and then we got the NFL.
My answer is I think somebody gets Xander Bogaerts by the end of the year.
I love that. That's a
They are miles apart on contracts. He wants
a great answer.
He wants a lot. They don't want to commit long term. I just don't think there's any way they're going to resign. If they're not absolutely in the thick of the playoff race, then I think they trade him.
Get right in movie bracket. I'm going to make a quick comment about the Phillies, and we're going to move on. Guys, I'm going to make this very clear. The Philadelphia Phillies this is exactly the overreaction city that you're going to see. Them being 5-8 is so predictable, and I could have told you this before the season started. Number one, it's cold, and the ball does not travel in cold weather the way it will. Charlie Manuel said it all the time. It's hitting season. May, June, July, August, this team's going to hit. They're going to be in the thick of things. September, they're going to fall off the face of the earth again. So I want you to watch the Philly fan this year. It's going to be the same thing. They're going to win a ton of games in June, July, and August. They're going to be right in the thick of things, and they're going to have a below 500 September. And that's exactly what's going to happen again. And the Philadelphia Phillies are not constructed the right way. They And for the people that are talking about pitching, starting pitching is an issue, or their pitching is an issue. You don't know. That's a third issue they have. Their defense is their biggest issue. They're terrible there. I bet you Ed and Bill have played against softball teams that have better defenses than the Philadelphia Phillies do right now.
Probably not the teams that we're going to have when we face each other on Saturday, but yes.
Second, and I think this is a huge issue too, they can't manufacture runs versus a good pitcher. You brought it up earlier. $30 million can't bunt. The Philadelphia Phillies will never manufacture runs versus a good pitcher. They can't do it. They don't have anybody in the lineup to do it. They live and die by the long ball, and that's why you see them getting shut out into the 7th and 8th innings so often so far, because when you have a starting pitcher like Max Scherzer, you're not going to hit many home runs off of him. And if you, like, they loaded the bases versus Max, he walked the bases loaded when they played him here, and strike out, fly out, inning over. Nothing across. I'll open up for anybody's comments on the Phillies. I still think 85 and 78 is where they'll land, and they'll be pressing for the third wild card. 85 and 77. Math terrible today. But regardless, overreaction to the Phillies. Kyle Schwarber, same thing. He's going to hit again June, July, and August. He never starts well. Never. So if you know he doesn't start well, you know he's not a good bait. I bet you if you look up Kyle Schwarber's batting average in April, it's probably 200.
No, I mean, he's a slow starter. Bryce is a notoriously slow starter. These guys need to get comfortable, they need to get their timing, and then they start to ramp up. Listen, I mean, we're all aware of the deficiencies. 12 games in is rough. There's 150 games left. It's so much baseball to be played. I think Dombrowski will get a pitcher. They do need a pitcher. I don't agree with you that it's the third issue. Like You have Nola, who is, if there's one claim to fame I have, I told you everybody in 2019 that he was not the pitcher that he was in 2018. That was going to be the absolute ceiling. It was the blip, and I've been proven 1,000,000% correct. He is not that guy. He's not. He's a really good 2 or a great 3. He's not an ace.
I definitely agree with that.
Zach Wheeler is 5 miles per hour lower on his fastball right now. They pitched him into the goddamn ground last year, and you're paying for it now. Ranger Suarez is not a guy that's going to go 10-1 this year. Like, they need a pitcher. Zach Eflin, Kyle Gibson, they're 12 to 15 game winners. That's what they are. They've been that way their whole career.
I'm fine with that rotation. That 5, I'm fine with. And I'm fine with their bullpen.
I don't know how you can be fine with their bullpen. I mean, we talked about on the way up. If you get to the back end.
When you have 4 solid relievers in your bullpen.
Who are the 4 solid?
Sir Anthony, Brad Hand, Corey Knebel.
Yeah, so you have back end guys. So when your pitchers are only getting you to the 5th every game, you need guys like Familia and all them to get to bridge to the back of your
Alvarado
bullpen.
will be your 6th inning guy.
And they're not good. There's nobody you can put out there with any kind of confidence right now other than Hand, who's really a left-handed specialist. That guy's not going to go out and give you 2 innings at any time. He's a matchup guy.
I get.
And Alvarado's the same way. So your other 2 good pitchers are your setup guy and your closer. Everybody else you have in the bullpen is worthless.
So here's the problem with Major League Baseball that the Phillies have, besides their lineup. You have to look at the entire league in general. In the NL Central, you have 4 teams within 2.5 games to start the season. A lot of parity. NL West, you have 4 teams within 1.5 games. And these teams are over 500. Then you have the AL East, 4 teams within a half game. AL Central, 5 teams within 2.5 games. AL West, 4 teams within a half game. The only division in baseball right now where there isn't a second team within 3.5 games is the NL East. The Mets are far and away the best team right now in the NL East. They've established that. They went out in free agent and they solidified their roster, and they got some guys that can really throw the ball, and they got some guys that are overachieving early in the season. It's going to be very difficult to win the division, which means now you have to compete against the other teams that are beating up on the AL. Right now, the NL is 14-8 against the AL. They are a little bit better than the AL, so that interleague is going to accumulate for those other teams, especially in interleague matchups. So if you're trying to back into the playoffs as a wild card team, you have to do two of the three things well. You either have to play defense, you have to pitch well, or you have to hit. And right now they're doing 1.5 well, but on any given night they're not doing 2 out of 3 at all very well, and they're finding themselves trailing a lot of games.
There's not going to be any night where their defense is good. None. Their defense stinks. Stinks. The worst Major League defense I've ever seen in my life. You have Matt Vierling playing center field for them as their everyday center fielder right now, and I don't think he played center field since high school.
That's not a necessity, though. I mean, that's not going to be the situation when Odubel and Mickey come back. I mean, I'm just saying it's unfair to pick on him. Like, that's not going to be the situation for the last 130 games of the season.
They started Castellanos in right and Schwarber in left today and DH'd Harper.
Fine.
But here's the good news about all that information. Major League Baseball there's so much parity, and teams are so close together, mainly because of the holdout. It takes, when you don't have a full spring training, and I speak from experience, if you don't have a full spring training, your timing's off. You're seeing a much lower output in home runs early in the season than you did in previous years. And I think that's a direct result of just not having a full spring training due to a lockout. Home runs are down, averages are down, outputs down, runs per game are down across the board. Do I think they can recover? Absolutely. But they do have to start making contact and putting the ball in play. I don't think they have a leadoff hitter right now that consistently gets on base.
I don't disagree with you. We gotta get to the movie bracket, bro. 9:31. Throw that up there if you don't mind. All right, guys. This is the last round where I feel like a lot of them are pretty easy. I'm not going to take too long on some of the ones that are blowouts. For instance, the one we're starting with. Remember the Titans is going against Varsity Blues. Varsity Blues is a nice movie. It's a cute movie. Remember the Titans is a lot better movie, and it should easily move on here. We'll talk about that a lot more. Herman Boone. Am I wrong here? Does anybody not have Remember the Titans here?
Varsity Blues, the best part about Varsity Blues was the shaving cream bikini and tweeters. That was about it.
I love it. Ed came prepared.
Varsity Blues is a great movie in its own right. I don't think it's good or cute. I think it's a great movie. I think it's just up against. Remember the Titans is the 1 seed for a reason.
Remember the Titans, and I'm guessing, Jamie, if you hop on a mic, Control Remember the Titans too, right?
As a matter of fact, he does.
Okay. Let's move on. That's a clean sweep there. Any Given Sunday going against the Replacements. 2 good football movies. Replacements definitely underseeded, as the 12 seed playing in went into 12-5. A little bit of a upset there versus Any Given Sunday. This is a conversation. Bill, why don't you start us on this one?
You think this is a conversation?
I do.
Oof.
I think Replacements is a lot better movie than you give it credit for.
Actually, if it I'll take your line from Varsity Blues. I think this is a cute movie. I think it's cute. I think it's funny. I think it's nice to watch when you're at home and you can't find anything else to watch on. I don't think it's in the same class as Any Given Sunday. Al Pacino's speech before that playoff game it's all time.
It's funny. Godfrey just said Any Given Sunday just because of the Pacino speech.
Exactly. How much are you willing to give for that inch?
Zach said I like Replacements better.
Any Given Sunday all day for me.
Let's talk about a small part of the plot. Keanu Reeves is chipping barnacles off of a ship.
Yep.
And then becomes a quarterback
in the
NFL. And you have guys from Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels as kickers. So in terms of movie quality, I think it's a little bit below Any Given Sunday. But Any Given Sunday, I think, is a good representation of football back in the 80s and the 90s.
I agree.
Where you got people that are banged up, playing with concussions, getting injected with all kinds of stuff in order to just play.
Whatever it takes to win.
So I guess this is a little bit more far-fetched than I thought. I have Any Given Sunday also. I just thought it'd be a little closer. Did Cottrell go with the sweep on this one also?
Yes, he did.
Okay, Any Given Sunday moves on.
The only thing the Replacements doesn't get credit for is it mirrors true life. An Ohio State quarterback that washed out that is chipping barnacles off a boat. So.
That is not fair for Cottrell, and he's not here to defend himself. Blue Chips versus Friday Night Lights. Heavyweight matchup here. Blue Chips, Nick Nolte, Shaquille O'Neal, Penny Hardaway. Love the movie. Friday Night Lights. You want to win? You got to put Booby in. Let me spin, coach. Let me spin. Lucas Black playing quarterback. That was actually fun. Billy Bob Thornton, pretty funny head coach. I actually think that the only time he actually was a good head coach was the speech at halftime about being perfect.
Yeah.
He was terrible coach the whole movie. They had the most talented team.
The Rev. Yeah. I mean, this is a good matchup. Blue Chips probably not getting its quite due here. I think a lot of people didn't see it because I think it's like kind of like a movie that came out in like the late 90s, early 2000s. It kind of got lost in the shuffle with sports movies. But Friday Night Lights for me, it's a great movie. I mean, it embodies everything that there is about high school football and pretty much high school athletics in general. You watch all those kids grow up, all the pressure from parenting. You Tim McGraw is what's his face's father, who won states. I love that movie. I'm a little biased because I read the book. The book was amazing. Movie obviously changed some things, to make it a better movie. But this is an easy vote for me. It's Friday Night Lights for me.
So I'm hearing Saquon Barkley is going to play Boobie Miles in Friday Night Lights too. I'm kidding. I don't think that's not real. Godfrey just said that. It was just funny.
Friday Night Lights it literally captures the spirit of Texas football. The name Friday Night Lights is like towns shut down on Friday. Like hardware stores are not open. Everybody's looking to kind of get their shift covered at Walmart to go to the game.
Kids, good best players don't pay to eat.
They just don't.
Yeah, they don't.
It embodied 1980s, 1990s football. It's actually based on, a true story.
Yeah, Permian Panthers.
And, you saw a TV show getting spun off on this. I would have Friday Night Lights, not by much, because I think Blue Chips, Blue Chips is to me an underrated movie. I think Bill hit the nail on the head. I think it got lost in the shuffle with a lot of good sports movies in the late 90s. But I absolutely think that Shaq actually did a great job. Just
Leon Boudreaux
being Shaq, being a just a giant. Just when he barely passed the SATs,
couldn't spell his name.
Barely passed the SATs. I remember.
I love his
guys that I went to high school with that were just like that just needed a number to get their scholarship. Yeah. And I remember with that, so I definitely think Friday Night Lights, but not by much. I think this is way closer.
I'm with you. I have Friday Night Lights too. Did Cottrell sweep?
Yeah, Friday Night Lights.
All right, so we're good here. This is to me somewhat easy. No, I love Blindside. Love the movie. This is Bull Durham. It shouldn't say Bill Durham. I don't know. But maybe Bill was just doing a plug for himself.
I didn't do the
but
same thing.
I'm kidding. Bull Durham is the answer here.
I would be Crash Davis, though. Some shit I would do.
Bull Durham?
Yeah, it's Bull
easy.
Durham.
Bull Durham.
Cool story. I got a chance to play at the old stadium.
Okay.
And the new stadium. And when you go to the old stadium and you play there knowing, after seeing the movie dozens and dozens of times, and actually being in the clubhouse, like you could put any movie up against Bull Durham tonight, and I would probably have Bull Durham. But Bull Durham is just, it embodied what it means. It's still celebrated. I was at Duke for the alumni baseball weekend a few months ago. It is just part of the culture in that town. It is absolutely embodies minor league baseball and what it's like when you're in minor league baseball. And there's a lot of pitchers that are exactly like Abby Cavalier-Lelouch.
Bull Durham, easy. Let's go. I don't even need Cottrell's pick there. If he went Blindside, I would be mad.
He did. Blindside.
Really?
Yes, he did.
He probably hasn't seen Bull Durham.
Yeah, he thinks it's Bill Durham.
He probably couldn't.
Cottrell wrote that.
He couldn't find it on Netflix.
He couldn't find the movie.
I'm gonna say this about the Mighty Ducks: you 5'0" 100 and hung around with the best sports movies in the whole country. Yeah, Rudy wins this one. I know you don't like Notre Dame, but Rudy wins this one.
I hate Notre Dame, but
you can hate him all you want.
No, it's Rudy. I've been on record saying how good of a movie it is, even though the guy in real life's an asshole. But it's a really good movie. Again, it's one of those ones. I don't care what if you hate Notre Dame like me, I've seen the damn movie 100 times. You wake up on a Saturday morning at 10 o'clock, and there it is on TNT. Not getting out of bed because you're going to watch it. It's that type of movie. Mighty Ducks is a great movie on its own right, though. It really is. I know you don't like it as much as other people do, but Mighty Ducks.
I love Mighty Ducks. It's just not a Rudy caliber movie.
No, that's why it's an 8 seed. It's Rudy for me.
Don't tell me I don't like Mighty Ducks. I love Mighty Ducks. Knuckle Puck, baby.
You shit on
the Bash Brothers. I don't think it should have been an 8.
You shit on the Mighty Ducks too much.
I'm not trying to be a smartass. What, 61 was a play-in game, right? 61's a better movie than Mighty Ducks. Telling you.
You have a cute Disney movie against a classic.
Thank you. Look right here. Blow it up, Ed.
That's it.
Rudy. Let's go. Rudy. We got to get on our NFL list anyway. They're easy. Let's skip them. This is tough.
This is really hard.
I'm going last. You guys go. I'll wait.
You can go.
No, I'm going last.
Oh, my God.
Talking about Ed. This is a kill Bambi moment.
Oh, man. This is brutal.
You definitely have to kill Bambi.
This is brutal.
This is the toughest one by far today.
Should we start with Cottrell?
Start with Cottrell.
Yeah.
Yeah, go with Cottrell.
I know where Cottrell's
Ruin
going.
his honeymoon.
Do you?
I think so.
Where's he going?
I'm not going to say go. I'll be honest if I'm wrong.
Who's yours?
I was right.
Okay. Is this going to be a fan vote?
It might be.
By the way, if we're tied 2-2, it goes to a fan vote on the Facebook page.
I'm going to say this. I've watched Hoosiers 100 times.
Love it.
100 times.
Norman Dale.
If it's on tonight, I'll stay up to watch it.
Yep.
That's how much I love the movie. I really am a baseball purist. And for me, when you watch the movie and you go to the Hall of Fame at Cooperstown and you see what these women did for this country to keep baseball alive as part of the culture, and just the fact that Tom Hanks plays an amazing Jimmy Fox drunk managing that team, I actually am going to go with an upset here.
League of Their Own. Bill.
This is tough for me. It is. Hoosiers, believe it or not, was one of the first sports movies I ever watched with my dad that I was old enough to fully understand the whole movie. And all the dynamics, the father, the crowd, the town, all of it, like really understood a movie. But I'm also on record where I think A League of Their Own doesn't get enough credit for how good of a baseball movie it is. Ed touched on some of it. They have their own wing at Cooperstown. They kept baseball alive during the war, and it allowed the Ted Williams and the people like that to come back and play baseball. I know you're a huge Denzel fan. I am as well. I'm just as big a fan of Tom Hanks as I am Denzel Washington. I think he's absolutely incredible as Jimmy Dugan in that movie.
Based on Jimmy Fox.
Yeah. A League of Their Own for me, and I've said it before, and this will eliminate a lot of other movies. It is a top 5 all-time baseball movie for me. It's that good.
Okay.
I'm voting for A League of Their Own.
Okay, so we're not going to a fan vote.
Ooh.
So I'm going to make it very clear. Listen, I think, you know how high I was with Norman Dale in the coaches pool?
Yep.
I think Norman Dale makes that movie, Hoosiers. It's a great movie. Nothing wrong with Hoosiers. It's just the coach is better than the movie. I'm going League of Their Own. 3-1.
I like that. I definitely like that last little color comment. I think the character of Norman Dale carries the movie.
100%. 100%. This is Major League.
This is the one that I dreaded.
Really?
Yeah.
Ed, make it easy for him. This is Major League.
Caddyshack is maybe one of the more comical, entertaining movies I have ever seen. But in terms of matchups, this is a brutal matchup for Caddyshack. I have Caddyshack over a lot of the movies we've reviewed already.
Fair.
Just not Major League.
There we go. 2-0. And then I know where Charles going. So it makes it easy for you, Bill.
I would have picked it, but this one like broke my heart.
That's fair.
Like Caddyshack is a movie that could not be made today at all. There's way too many un-PC things that are said in that movie. Ronnie Dangerfield, Chevy Chase, Bill Murray steals the whole goddamn movie. It's in its own right, it's incredible. It's a funny movie. Major League, though, again, to mention that top 5 list, it's well entrenched there.
Well entrenched.
It is still to this day. You can show up to the park Saturday and you will hear that movie quoted somewhere.
Major League in a 4-0 sweep. Am I right?
Yep.
Control went major. Yep.
Yeah, Major
Well,
League.
you know Homer was
And
going for it.
guys, and guys, I'm gonna make this quick because we gotta get in our football list. If you're not picking Field of Dreams here, I love 8 Man Out. We talked about it a lot, but Field of Dreams is the pick here. Like if you don't get goosebumps, if your hair doesn't stand up, like it's just we can't do this.
If you don't get emotional watching Field of Dreams, I question if you have a heart,
Or if you're a human.
or a human,
Absolutely.
which is wild. I mean, because they both actually center around the same player, which is kind of ironic. They ended up next to each other. But
It's
I was going to say, when I looked at this, the irony, because it's about the same guy in two different lights. 8 Man Out, probably one of the more underrated movies.
That's why I
sports
won.
movie, because it captures a stain on baseball in a very, 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 generalized but accurate way. And, when we talk about now, where we are now, 100 years later, more than 100 years later, with the way that gambling is positioned with sports, those guys would have still been in baseball, and some of those guys would probably be in the Hall of Fame.
I agree.
A lot of those guys. That was the most dominant baseball team at that time for a long time.
There's no doubt about it. They were going to win the series. They didn't cheat. They were so good that they won games even when they were trying to lose.
correct.
They couldn't throw the game.
Their teams just weren't good enough.
And listen, Shoeless Joe Jackson was just too dumb. He wasn't even throwing the game. He's like, I batted 350. He's like, what do you mean I was throwing the game? Field of Dreams, though, right?
Field of Dreams.
All right, let's go. Let's throw up the football list. We got our list for next week. Control will be in. I have a surprise. I'll tell you guys at the end of the show, though. I'm gonna ask just a general question, but throw up the defensive players first. I don't care. Throw up whatever you want first. Whatever you got first, I got it.
And by the way, the new Field of Dreams game in baseball
was incredible.
is awesome. I watched it with my daughter, and I actually made a video that I kept the first time that was showed, because I think that's really cool.
Shout out to Don. Don's the man. He made the graphic for us. I love the way this looks. Uncle Shal, you're first on the list, man. You're first on the docket.
Why am I over there? All right. We're doing defense first?
Yes, sir.
All right. I will start with Gene's man crush, but I like him too, so I have him on my list. And just to emphasize what we're doing here, we are putting the top 10 prospects of guys that we think end up having the best careers, not necessarily where they're drafted, or where we, what order we think they're going to go and anything like that. These are just guys that we think no matter where they go, we're just going to end up being quality football players 5 years from now. So number one for me, I have Nakobe Dean from middle linebacker from Georgia. Freak athlete. The only thing, downside about him is maybe a little bit is the size. Guys don't, some of the scouts don't like his wingspan. Sideline to sideline, very quick. I think as long as he goes to a team with the right fit and that are going to utilize him correctly, the kid's a good enough athlete that he could absolutely be a star. Number 9 for me, I have Daxton Hill, safety or cornerback out of Michigan. He's played both. He's actually played in the slot as well. This kid would be a top 10 pick if Kyle Hamilton wasn't in this draft. He's that good. Everything in his combine was through the roof, through the charts. He's smart. He can play man. He can play zone. Daxton Hill is going to be a very good football player for a very long time. Number 8 for me, I have Kayvon Thibodeau from Oregon, edge rusher. I have him lower than probably a lot of other people do. I have serious doubts about his commitment to football. His physical skills are all there. I don't like him as a teammate per se, and I don't like his effort sometimes. He gave that interview with ESPN a couple months ago where he pretty much talked about everything but football. Got trashed for it. He's been doing, cover up ever since. And he did an interview the other day saying, look at the film and you'll see all you need to know. And then one of the reporters asked him, like, if you watch a film, you see him, we see you take a lot of plays off too. Like, what do you say to that? And he didn't have an answer for it. He's a me guy. I think he's a very smart guy. He's very talented in other areas of life as well. I just don't think he's the end all. I don't think football's the end all be all for him. And I would just have doubts risking, a top 10 pick on him. He's a guy that could retire when he's 26 and be completely happy with it and go do something else. So he's lower on my list than most for me. Number 7, I have Jordan Davis, defensive tackle, size, strength, freak athlete for a kid his size. Again, a little bit of a, how much is he going to be on the field type situation. I think he's going to be very good at the pro level. It's going to be, I think he needs to go to the right situation. But obviously he's still going to make the list. I think he's an impact player his rookie year. Number 6, I have Derek Stingley Jr., quarterback from LSU. Kind of falls into the Thibodeau thing for me, but not on a character point of view. He had a great freshman season. On an all-time great LSU defense. Last 2 years he's been injury prone. Not that it's something you necessarily want to hold against the kid, but he's banged up. He hasn't been on the field, and his statistics have gone down 2 straight years. I still think he's an impact player at the next level. That's obviously why I have him on the list. I think he's very good. I just don't have him as high as probably you guys both do. Number 5, Jermaine Johnson. He's listed as defensive end. I think what keeps him on this list, he's flexible. He can in a 3-4, he can play outside linebacker. If you play a 4-3, you can play DN. Maybe not the most physically gifted guy, but a very smart player. And I think if he goes to a defense that's going to utilize him correctly, I think he becomes a very successful pro. Number 4 for me, I have Trayvon Walker from Georgia. Again, another guy, freak athlete, can do both as well. He's flexible. He play outside on a 3-4. He played DN in a 4-3. Super quick. Played on that great Georgia defense. I know Gene's probably going to get into this a little bit with some of his guys.
Oh, yeah.
The odds just dictate that some of these guys are going to end up being a benefactor of how great that defense was. And some of them are going to stand out to actually be the studs. And we're just going to have to wait and find out. But I think he's a very good player. Number 3, I got Sauce Gardner from Cincy. Best corner in the draft, in my opinion. Can play man, physical, has the size, the length. He's a guy that's going to travel. He's going to be a guy that's going to be able to take away half of the field for an opposing offense. They are rare to come by. There's very few of them in the league. Me and Gene were talking about on the way up. I mean, you have a Ramsey, you have a Jair Alexander. You have very few guys that offenses purposely play to not go to that side of the field. I think he has the ability to become that. I think he has all the physical tools in the world and the size. So I have him number 3. Number 2, I have Aiden Hutchinson. I've talked about him too many times. I'm not going to spend too much time on him with him being a Michigan guy. All the physical tools in the world, has a great motor, great attitude, great kid. He's a winner. Any team that gets him is going to be lucky to have him. I think he's successful. I think he has a really great career. Number 1, I have Kyle Hamilton, safety from Notre Dame. The reason I have him for number 1 is I don't know if he's the most physically gifted person on this list because he's probably not. I think Kyle Hamilton, if I had to bet money on it, though, 10 years from now, he probably has the strongest Hall of Fame case at any of these players. He's that good. I've talked about him for 2 years since we started doing this podcast. The kid is simply he's a safety that can become a linchpin in your defense for a decade. You can build around him. He does everything right. He's super smart, great tackler. Some people are getting put off by his 40 time. It's just not the end of the world for me for a safety. He does everything well that you want a safety to do. I think he can be a Hall of Fame player, so he's number 1 for me.
Ed? By the way, I think I find it very interesting, by the way, and I'll wait till you're done your list because there's really differences between yours and Bill's list, and I want to get into them.
Well, first, that was a great rundown of some of the players, and we share a couple players, but in different spots in the order. I put this together because I believe that football has evolved to a place of passing. And when I look at defensive value, I'm trying to look at players that can prevent the evolution of football from passing. So you'll see a lot of my picks here. I don't have a lot of linebackers. I just don't. I just think that linebackers, there's places in the draft that you can find that value for a team. I just don't think that they're in the top 10 defensive picks, with the exception of the guy that I do have on there.
Would you have him as your number 1? I'm happy.
Which is basically Nakobe Dean. I have him the same spot that Bill has him. He's an undersized linebacker. He's 5'11". He's going to play small. You heard about comparisons to Manti Te'o, just being a small, super fast, very physical. He can chase down running backs. He can basically match up with a slot receiver and not get taken advantage of. He's a good tackler. And he's the only linebacker I have on this list. Andrew Booth. I think Andrew Booth is probably one of those guys that I think he has a high ceiling, and I don't think that his floor is as bad as everybody says it is. He's super fast. He matches up in the slot and on the outside. He's good. He's good when it comes to line of scrimmage and playing man up, like physical man defense against big physical receivers. He makes 50-50 balls a problem for any receiver that matches up with him. You saw it in a lot of the games that Clemson played this year. You throw the ball his way, it is a contested ball. Jermaine Johnson, I think Bill nailed it. He is a very versatile type of player. The notes that I had on him is huge upside. He's a playmaker. You know, he's a ball hawk. He finds the ball and he makes plays. He's going to be a product of his environment. He has to go to the right situation that has a good player development program, because this is the same guy that, as with a huge upside, if he goes to the wrong situation, he could be on the outside looking in. He could be just a third down, rush the passer type of guy if he's not developed into a more formidable guy when it comes to playing against the run. Sauce Gardner, I've seen him get beat. I've seen him get beat against good receivers, you know, in some of the playoff games that he was in and some of the bigger games. So I do think that he has holes. I do think he's a big-time physical cornerback. He's the type of guy that could probably make a Pro Bowl once or twice early in his career if he lands in the right spot and he gets the right amount of reps. I don't see him basically being a Pro Bowl guy as a rookie, but I definitely see him as a guy that can match up against the one or two this season. Trent McDuffie, I just think this is the guy that's going to be a problem, that anybody that gets him is getting a steal. A lot of people have him late first round. I still think that there is a ton of upside for this guy. He is a wiry, athletic, he can go get a 50-50 ball. He's basically a wide receiver playing cornerback, and he can tackle. 40 time, you know, is a little suspect. The ability to play against the run was some of the you know, coming off of wide receiver blocks was some of the things that he got flack for. But again, the ability to cover players and disrupt the passing game is why I have him at 6. Jordan Davis, my notes here speak for themselves. In the pre-production meeting when we had this, I just put where running backs go to die. Jordan Davis is an absolute shut down the middle of the field type of player. He is a massive human being. I mean, some people have him at 6'5", 340 pounds. He is an absolute freak in terms of power, shutting down the middle of the field. Kyle Hamilton, to me, is maybe one of the best players in this draft. I have him at 4 because, again, the safety spot is situational. You know, it's half run, half pass. He's good enough to play good zone defense. He could probably go right into any scheme right now, play good zone. We just haven't seen him against elite speed. I just think that that's one of those areas that's been untested, but he's a big fit. He's like Cam Chancellor. We talked about him being a comparable player. This guy's going to absolute hit and knock the hell out of people at the line of scrimmage. He's a good tackler. He's going to basically shut down the opposing team's tight end. He can probably match up really well against tight ends. He might struggle against slot receivers or like a 1 or a 2 receiver set. Thibodeau, I have him high because I think in terms of athletic ability and the ability to go, he's Jadeveon Clowney to me.
It's funny. I said the same thing to Bill on the write-up.
He's the same player. He's the kind of guy where when he's on, you're looking at 10 to 12 sacks a year, disruptive, run-stopping guy, finding ways to penetrate the line of scrimmage, can line up inside, can line up outside. He's a physical specimen, but does he take plays off? Does he play through, does he play through a little bit of adversity? And again, but in terms of see the field this year, be a problem, possibly a Pro Bowl type of player. he's got Pro Bowl talent. Whether it shows up in the NFL, it's TBD. Trayvon Walker, you could have put half Georgia's defense in the top 10, and I don't think anybody would have really complained too much.
I think it's wild. You don't have Derek Stingley. I have him 3. I'll get into that. You have Trayvon Walker. I don't have him. I think it's absolutely insane. By the way, if you're listening at home, I paid for the extra 30 minutes. I don't want to rush this. So we're going to be here till 10:39 instead of 10 o'clock. So we took care of it.
Right here, bud.
Jamie's face is like, oh, no, he fucking told me.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. Okay, so
Trayvon, I think Trayvon Walker showed up in big games. They play in the SEC. You're playing against, NFL type of, tackles. You're playing against the size and the speed of NFL type of talent. And I think if you get to the quarterback and you're making plays and you're basically just, pass deflections and pressures at that level, I think that, this guy could easily be probably a 7, 8, 9 sack type of guy right off the rip. It wouldn't surprise me if he's a, 13 to 15 type of sack guy. He's just a really athletic guy. Again, he's a freak. I put down here, athletic, size, power, freak. Aiden Hutchinson, the word on the street is this guy is just an absolute beast. You throw a challenge at him, he can't wait to get started. He just can't wait to get started. I think that he just has like unbelievable size and immeasurables, things that you just can't coach. I mean, he's 6'6", he's 300 pounds. He runs a 4.75. His measurables are great. He just has to develop hand technique. The knock on him is hand technique, but that's what you go to the NFL for. You get with a defensive line coach and you work through, your technique, your swim moves, your stunts, finding different ways to get to get to the quarterback and work through tackles. I think he needs the right situation. I think he needs a good player development coach, but in terms of talent, you can't teach what he has.
Matt Godfrey said Bill Shawcross is a pitcher of Hutchinson on a ceiling.
I didn't even put him number 1.
I'm just kidding. Listen, I've been dying to get into my list because I want to comparatively contrast the 3 lists.
Mm-hmm.
I have Devin Lloyd 10. I have Devin Lloyd 10 because I think his physical attributes and how fast he is can contribute really well on the next level. You should be really scared of how good Devin Lloyd could be if he gets picked in the right system. I'll get into why I have Nakobe Dean so much higher than him when I get to Nakobe Dean, but Devin Lloyd is special in the right system. He also could bust out. If you put him in the wrong defensive system, he could be a decent linebacker, but he could really bust out if he's in the wrong defensive system. He's not a leader. He's not like that captain of the defense, but his physical attributes and his speed is unreal. And that's why I have Devin Lloyd at 10. Guys, this is a 3rd round pick right here. He's a steal, though. Kobe Bryant. Sauce Gardner's on the other side of Kobe Bryant in Cincinnati, and I'll get into Sauce in a minute because I have him 7, just barely over Kobe. But the Jim Thorpe Award this year was won by Kobe Bryant, best cornerback in the nation. Kobe Bryant is a stud. He's probably going to translate into be a very, very strong nickel corner. If not an outside guy, he's very versatile. I love him. And if you a lot of people don't realize this, Jameson Williams, number 1 receiver in the country on most people's lists, went up against Cincinnati, and he was guarded by Kobe Bryant 70% of the snaps, not Sauce Gardner. And he had 7 catches for 62 yards. It wasn't like a great game. Kobe Bryant is a stud, and I think he's a steal in the 3rd round. Jermaine Johnson is a safe edge rusher pick. He's smart. He's physically there. But he's not going to be a high volume sack guy. It's funny because Jermaine Johnson will be your steady guy that you can plug in your lineup every week. It's weird NFL comparison, but Ryan Kerrigan is like kind of where my head goes for him because he does so many things right.
I can see that.
Number 7, I have Sauce Gardner. I think the physical attributes, the fact that he's bigger, stronger, puts him just ahead of his teammate Kobe Bryant from 7 to 9. But once again, they had the best cornerback tandem in college football, and it wasn't close. They're really good. Ahmad Sauce Gardner, you guys spoke about him. You guys both have him a little higher than I do. Actually, you have him same.
We have 7 and 8. We have 7, 8, 8 identical.
Identical. Kayvon Thibodeau, perfect comparison to Davion Clowney. Davion Clowney, I love that. The guy is physically talented. I just don't know if he loves the game of football. It looked like he took a lot of plays off. It looked like he was there for his draft stock. It, to me, looked like Davion Clowney's final year at South Carolina after the big hit. Like, I know I'm going to be a high pick. Let's just not get hurt. Let's be safe. And physical talent is there. But as far as what I'm picking a winner over him. I have Aiden Hutchinson right above him. Like, you put these two guys next to each other, Kayvon Thibodeau just looks like the better edge rusher. But Aiden Hutchinson's a winner. It's what he is. It's what he's always been. He came back to Michigan for another year, even though he could have came out last year, because he's like, I want to beat Ohio State. Screw that. I'm not leaving this university before beating Ohio State. And he'll make his team better. If you are Jacksonville and you're deciding between Aiden Hutchinson and Kayvon Thibodeau is going to continue the culture that you have in that organization. Aiden Hutchinson will help change it. That's why I have Aiden Hutchinson 5 and Thibodeau 6.
He could be the J.J. Watt of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Jordan Davis has the least bust potential in this draft. His only knock is he only plays 50% of the snaps, but he's unguardable. He's 347 pounds and runs like a deer. That's scary. He could triple team. They couldn't stop him. He'll get in your backfield. He'll stop your run. You'll 3 guys to block him. Listen, Nakobe, and what we talked about earlier about the Georgia defensive players that are going to, I think there's 2 of them. The defensive tackle, I forgot his name. He's going to go in the first round. And I think Trevon Walker is the other person that was really benefited by the leader of the defense, Nakobe Dean, and that absolute monster that they had in the middle with Jordan Davis. Jordan Davis is just unguardable. And he could, and I mean this in the nicest way possible, he could be a Hall of Fame player if he could play 7% of snaps.
They compared him to Vince Wilfork.
I have that comparison. I actually think he reminds me a lot of, who's the kid that played for Albert Hainsworth? Reminds me of like a little bit bigger Albert Hainsworth. I just think he's unguardable. Derek Stingley Jr., listen, this is all off projection. He hasn't shown you shit since their national championship year when they had a ton of players. He's been injured. He's been kind of saving himself. LSU hasn't been that good. What Stingley has done is prepare himself for the draft. And I think he projects to be a great cornerback in the league. Ed doesn't have him on his list. So it shows you how off we could be. Stingley's my lottery pick, though. Stingley could transition into being the best corner in his draft, but he also could be a bust. So I respect Ed not even having him on his list. Nakobe Dean, I'm so high on. And I was tempted to put him 1. I love Nakobe Dean. Nakobe Dean comparisons to Manti Te'o are fair. My comparison for Nakobe Dean after watching him entire season, you guys know how high I've been on Georgia. My comparison for Nakobe Dean is Ray Lewis. I mean, the size, the intelligence on the football field, he knows where to be. There's a play in the national championship that just blows my mind. The other linebacker standing right next to him accidentally is in the wrong coverage. Runs into Dean. Dean comes over and kind of stops the play. Tight end from Bama drops the ball. Probably should have caught it. Most people are celebrating a stop on 3rd and goal. Nakobe Dean's initial reaction was, dude, you cannot be in the wrong spot. It's the national champion. I need you to move over. You're in the wrong spot. We could have allowed a touchdown there. The leadership he shows to be the best player it could be possibly the best defense ever in the history of college football. I mean, statistics would say I'm right there. Nakobe Dean is my number 2, but Kyle Hamilton he's just a Cam Chancellor, Brian Dawkins type player. He's a monster, man. And if you want to run the football versus whoever drafts Kyle Hamilton, you're going to have another linebacker. And if you want to throw the football, you better be careful about throwing that ball across the middle, because they're talking about him going to Washington. That's Sean Taylor 2.0, man.
Yep.
The guy's a monster.
Sean Taylor's a good comparison.
I love Kyle Hamilton, guys. And listen, I didn't do this based off of NCAA projections. Obviously, I went a little nuts. I did this off of what I've watched and what I think And that's kind of what I came up with. Everybody's list looks pretty good. The interesting part when you look at these lists is where Travon Walker not being on my list, Derek Stingley not being on Ed's list. There's players on here that we have really high and really low, and we'll only find out in 4 or 5 years how this looks. But great list, guys. Great lists.
So in the pre-production meeting, coming into the show, as a guest, I wanted to do a good job. I didn't want to come on here and just, be a babbling buffoon for 2 hours. So I wanted to do a little bit of, the pre-production homework. This was hard.
Yeah.
This was hard because I went through a couple of different drafts. I had started with 15 players on each side. Getting down to 10 was hard.
Yeah.
It really, really was. But it comes down to what do you value? What do you really look at? And
it was very obvious you valued edge rushers and cornerbacks.
Absolutely.
To stop the passing league, and you really
14,
highlighted that perfectly.
14 was where I got stuck. I got down to 14 on both sides, and I was like, now I'm splitting hairs now. Like now, I really have to who has the highest ceiling if they get put in they get drafted in the right team and the right fit. So they're not easy. They're not easy.
The offensive list, I'm going to go first. You're going to call me a psychopath. That's fine. I don't mind. My list is totally different than a lot of other people's, and I'm good with that. Psychopath list, I get it. I don't have Garrett Wilson on my list. I'll start there. He's not. I don't think he's the top 5 wide receiver.
Sure, I'll probably just threw something at his way.
That's fine. I got Chris Olave for him. So my number 10 is Drake London. I like Drake London. I think he's a good wide receiver. If I have a top 10, and I think he's my 4th wide receiver, yes, my 4th wide receiver on the list, I think he's really good. I think he'll translate to be a good pro. I think system will matter with Drake. I don't think he's going to go somewhere and just be dominant anywhere. Just my personal opinion. Running backs don't get valued in the draft, but they get valued in my heart because the first 5 years, they're going to be the biggest names we talk about. Doesn't matter where they get drafted. Kenneth Walker is a monster, and we watched that all year. Not many running backs get consideration or invited at Heisman. I think Kenneth Walker being invited to a Heisman Trophy presentation says everything you need to hear about him. The guy ran in Michigan State, so he ran in cold weather, so it doesn't matter where he goes. He's quick, he's elusive, and he's strong. I'll take Kenneth Walker at my number 9. Chris Olave has a PhD in route running. He is a route running machine. I think he translates way better than Garrett Wilson, who is your speedster, your typical, fly guy. Chris Olave is going to run the route tree better than either receiver at Ohio State. My number 7 is Breece Hall. Breece Hall showed you nothing but being really good, and he can catch the ball out of the backfield. So Breece Hall, I think, is the best running back in this class. I think that he is an absolute monster, and I think that he'll be. I don't want to give you an NFL comparison because I feel like that he could be a lot of different players in the NFL. But the main thing that I look for in a running back is a guy that can catch the ball out of the backfield and break a home run. He can do both. I know he's a center. I know he's not valued as much in the NFL draft, but Tyrell Linderbaum will be a 12-year NFL starter for any franchise that drafts him, and he will be the surest part of your defense. Having a center that can do everything that he does and walk in and be your signal caller, call out blitzes, he's a monster. Iowa does a couple things well, and one of them is produce offensive linemen. I have Tyler Linderbaum 6, which is really high. This was tough for me. I love Jameson Williams. I was proven so wrong about Jameson Williams in the first Georgia game that it made me love him. Not many things can embarrass me so much that I'm like, I have to love that guy. I felt terrible he tore his ACL, and if he didn't tear his ACL, he might be my number 1. But you never know how he falls, how things change after an ACL tear. Jameson Williams is a stud. I promise you, I will get into the Jahan Dotson one. I'm going to break that down a little bit. Evan Neal. So I'm gonna do this in 2 parts. Evan Neal and Ike Ekwonu, and then Jahan Dotson, Treylon Burks. I'm gonna do it that way. They're my 4 through 1. Evan Neal is my 4. Evan Neal he needs to be drafted in a situation. In my opinion, he should be drafted in a situation where you have a pocket quarterback. He is a great pass defender that's going to protect your quarterback. He's 6'7". Guy's a monster. I think he's great for the pocket presence, the keep your pocket clean, your quarterback's blind side. He's going to be that. Ike Ekwonu, I think, will be your Lane Johnson-esque. The guy that you can throw a pitch, and this guy's going to be 10 yards on the field. He's way more athletic. And I think that's what you want. He could be scheme. Like, Ike Ekwonu is going to be better for a team that's going to run a lot of pitches, a lot of jet sweeps, a lot of bubble screens. He'll be better for that. Mm-hmm. Whereas Evan Neal is going to be better for Tom Brady. He'll be better for Aaron Rodgers. And it just depends on who picks them. But I value the versatile offensive lineman just a little bit better. Let me get into these wide receivers. Jahan Dotson reminds me so much of Steve Smith. It's silly. His contested ball rate is unreal. He had a tomato can throwing the football the last couple of years at Penn State. He's catching balls. See, I think the reason he'll translate so well to the NFL is his bad ball catch rate is probably the best in the country. I don't know that statistic, but I watch a lot of Penn State football because I'm a Penn State fan. You know, after Georgia, obviously. I'm kidding. But I'm a Penn State fan. I watch a lot of Penn State football, and the catches that he made, he's unguardable. Nobody shut him down. And he had a tomato can throwing the football. Treylon Burks is DK Metcalf without the neck injury. This is what he is. Treylon Burks is huge, fast, strong. He's a monster. I love Treylon Burks. So that's my list. London, Walker, Olave, Hall, Linderbaum, Jamison Williams, Evan Neal, Jahan Dotson at 3, Treylon Burks at 2, and Ike Ekwonu is my number 1 player in the draft. Ed.
You know what's great about your list?
Tell me.
You have it twice. You actually have your list under my name.
Oh, my God. I didn't do that. I did not.
No, your list is really good. Your list.
You have your list written down?
I do.
Thank you.
I do.
That's hysterical.
I do, but that list is impressive. So nice. You did it twice.
New York, New York.
Oh, man.
So I'm going to go bottom up. I have Zion Johnson, guard, Boston College. You're talking about a guy. You're talking about a 10-year NFL career. This is the guy. Like, this would be the guy that I write an insurance policy against right now, who's going to have a prototypical, maybe a Pro Bowl once or twice in his career, but the guy you suits up 13 out of 17 weeks and plays guard for any team that drafts him. He's played guard for 3 years at Boston College. He's been Mr. Reliable. He's a first-round pick. He's a very solid, safe, top 10 guy. Charles Cross, offensive lineman, Mississippi. He's on the list simply because he's got a huge upside and he's an athletic freak in nature. He really is. You're talking about like tomato can. This guy has literally given his quarterback an opportunity to throw the ball, and he still can't throw it. But nobody touches the quarterback at Mississippi State's on that side of the field. He is a guy that basically just eliminates the threat on that side of the field. There's some work that has to be done, of course. Like, he is a little bit of a project, but at the end of the day, he's got some size, he's got power, and he puts himself in a position to kind of make this list at the bottom of the list. I had 2 guys that could have easily slid into 9 and 10, but these are the guys that I decided to go with. 8, I watched, I'm with you on this. I watched Kenneth Walker too much not to include him in the top 10. I seen this guy take over games, running the football.
Michigan. Oh, sorry.
Was it Michigan State?
No, Michigan. He took over the game.
He did. That game was over when that guy started carrying the ball and toting the rock. I think you're starting to see, he's a little bit of an undersized guy. He runs through tackles. He's got a low center of gravity. Very, very good. Very, very good NFL, upside in terms of a running back. But I like the fact that he catches the ball in the backfield. I like the fact that he actually blocks in pass protection. There's some variables there that actually make him a good and attractive player for me. Trevor Penning, offensive lineman, Northern Iowa. You know what the knock on this guy was?
Tell me.
Needs to not fight the other team.
I love that. That's great.
That was a weakness that this guy had in his scouting report. Needs to control his emotions and not be physical after the play as a weakness.
I mean,
this
I
guy loves to play football. We talked about, Kevin Thibodeau. This guy is the 180-degree polar opposite. This guy loves to play football. He loves getting in the trenches. He loves battling. They say his hand-checking skills is some of the best in the game. Like that is a absolute pro that he has coming out of the draft. Drake London, couldn't said it any better. This guy wins 50-50 balls. His size is a matchup problem for anybody. The 40 time was a concern at the combine, but his ability to high point balls and make catches, contested catches against undersized cornerbacks, makes this guy an immediate problem for any defensive back that's under 6 foot. Breece Hall, I think you're looking at a running back that could be like Maurice Jones-Drew comes to mind.
That's fair. I struggled for an NFL comparison for him, because I didn't want to say the lazy comparison would be Christian McCaffrey. I don't think he's that. I think Maurice Jones-Drew is a lot better comparison.
Again, small, low center of gravity. He's 5'11". He has breakaway speed. If you do not tackle him at the second level, it's to the house. You're going to pay a price. You're going to feel the ice bath after the game trying to tackle this guy 25 times a game. He is a good 4 or 5 yards every carry type of guy. He runs good lanes. Perfect for a zone blocking scheme type of NFL running back. I do not have Jamison Williams on my top 10 list.
Oh, that's wild. I love it.
I just don't. I mean, I know you guys do.
The ACL thing?
I think the ACL plays. I mean, we're talking about players that that are going to make an impact immediately. That's an injury that is. You saw what it did to Saquon Barkley. Not the same player. You're talking about skill positions where you have to jump, you have to cut, you have to drive to get separation off the line of scrimmage. I don't have him in the top 5. What I do have is Treylon Burks, Arkansas. You nailed it with the DK Metcalf comparison. I think DK's faster. You're talking about an Olympic sprinter. I don't think he has that top end speed, but I think he gets good separation coming out of routes, and I think that he's going to make those typical catches that we would need to see out of a first round draft pick, a top 10 pick.
I mean, I think his floor is Alshon Jeffrey's prime.
Yeah,
I really believe that. That's his floor.
I don't disagree. I think that he could have a very, very good career. I don't think 60 catches and 1,000 yards is out of the question within the first 2 years of his career. But again, has to go to the right team. You can't draft him and put him next.
Jalen Hurts wouldn't be good for him.
Probably not.
I'm just kidding.
You need a guy that can get him the ball. Garrett Wilson.
What number are you at?
3.
Number 3, Garrett Wilson.
Garrett Wilson. I had him basically at the 3 spot. His biggest problem is going to be getting off the line of scrimmage against physical defensive backs. Good route runner, good hands, good 50-50, high point balls. He's got to develop as a route runner. He really does. He has to get off blocks. His blocking ability, brought into question. But the only thing I can say is when this guy decides, when the offense decides to throw this guy the ball, he runs routes differently when he knows the ball's coming to him. He finds a way to get open. He finds the way to make catches. And I think
almost think that would be a dig.
Yeah. It comes down to, taking plays off. I think he gets the knock on this side of the street. But talent-wise, upside, guy's a freak. You've seen him take over games on the offensive side of the football on numerous occasions throughout the year. Ike Ekwonu, again, you and I had this debate along with Evan Neal. I have them 1 and 2.
I love it.
If you value passing on the other side of the street, you have an athletic tackle that is good at blocking. He's good at pass protection. He's good at screens. He's good zone blocking. He's just a little bit more versatile. He's a good option for, say, Kansas City. when you're looking at
Andy Reid loves running screens.
exactly.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Jarrett McKinnon in the open field with him running down the sideline.
100%. I think a tackle for Kyler Murray is a good option. Anybody that's a mobile quarterback, this is the guy. If you have a pocket passer like an Aaron Rodgers, a Tom Brady, and even a Carson Wentz, you got to go Evan Neal. I mean, the guy is just a mountain of a guy. His technique is good. He played at Alabama a number of years. They teach very good offensive line technique. It's an assembly line of just good offensive line draft picks every single year, and this guy's no exception. I think he's the safe pick. I think that you're just, if you're going to draft a tackle to protect the blind side of a pocket passer, this is the guy.
It's a great list. I want to be fair in the interest of time. It's a great list. So let's get into yours.
I'll go through mine. I mean, you guys have pretty much hit on everything for all mine. I think the one thing that's interesting is how we all differently value all the receivers, which I think is interesting. Number 10, I have Breece Hall. I mentioned him last year as our college preview show. Outside Heisman hopeful. I love the kid. I love the way he plays. I see a lot of comparables to him to Zeke. I think he has a better all-around game than Zeke. He's definitely better catching the ball out of the backfield than Zeke is. But again, he's got breakaway speed, but he's tough too. He can run between the tackles. He's not going to get beat up. I think whoever drafts him, he probably steps in day one as probably their starting quarterback. Tyler Linderbaum, center from Iowa. Again, this is going to be a plug-and-play guy. They're going to draft him. Barring injury, he's going to start in center for the next 10 to 12 years for you. Probably go to a couple Pro Bowls, maybe all pro. Outside Hall of Fame type guy. He's just good. He's very smart. He can run block. He can pass block. Everything you need from a center, he has it. Number 8 for me, I have Treylon Brooks, a little bit from Arkansas, a little bit lower than you guys. I think he needs a little bit more polishing for me. I think he has all the physical attributes to be there. Tall, big. I agree with you, Ed. I don't think he quite has DK's speed. I think he's that type of receiver, and I think you're starting to see it with DK a little bit too. He's got to get better at running his intermediate routes and his shorter routes better. He's got to become a better route runner.
100%.
But, I mean, the potential's there. All the physical tools are there. Charles Cross, I have on my list as well, number 7 from Mississippi State. Again, he's the guy not getting a lot of the press, not getting a lot of the publicity. But whoever wants to tackle and doesn't get Neal or Iguano, you're going to draft him and you're going to get a great kid. He's going to be a stalwart in your offensive line for the next 10 years. You can't go wrong with him. Number 6, I have Chris Olave from Ohio State. Again, between him and Garrett Wilson, this is splitting hairs. It really had to boil down to what I think projects better at the next level. I do agree with Gene. I think Olave is the best route runner in the draft. Our problem with Olave is I think he projects to be a slot guy in the NFL. He's not going to have a lot of deep balls. He's going to be more of a shorter intermediate guy. And I think he needs to work on getting separation off the line. He's a little bit, I don't want to say smaller, but he's a little bit of a lighter guy. Playing against press man or anything like that, he's going to struggle a little bit. But again, he's got great hands, great ball instincts, and he can literally run everything on the tree already. So I have a number 6. Number 5, I have Garrett Wilson. I literally put him here. I think route running, they're close. I think hands, they're close. Garrett Wilson has the big play potential more than Chris Olave does. That's why I ranked him higher. Again, you're splitting hairs between all these kids. I mean, I think, we talked about it in pre-production. I think this first round draft is going to be a couple linemen, a bunch of defense, and a bunch of wide receivers. That's what it's going to be. This is a very, very deep class for wide receivers. On number 4, I have another one, Drake London from wide receiver from USC. I've been really high on him since the beginning of the year, even before he got hurt. He is a, for lack of a better term, he's a what's it called? He's a bigger guy. He's physical. He's gonna be a big red zone target. He's a Mike Evans type receiver, which I love. If you have a quarterback that can throw those type of balls,
That's a good comparison.
yeah,
Great comparison.
I love Drake London. If he ends up in the midnight green, I'll be very happy. But I don't think he's going to be there, and we still have to get a quarterback that can throw the ball. Number 3, I'm going with Iggy. You guys have both, describe these kids to a T. I don't think you can be upset with if you get either one of them. If you get either one of them, you're getting a Pro Bowl, level tackle for a very long time. Really think it is your preference. I valued Evan Neal a little bit more, simply because, even if you have a Josh Allen or you have a Patrick Mahomes or, a Lamar Jackson, that type of quarterback, you still don't want to have them to run all the time. If you have a guy that can just anchor and pass block and know he's never going to hit from the blind side, I think you take that guy. That's the only reason I have him number 3. Jameson Williams, I think, has the biggest boom potential out of all these guys. I think he comes back, assuming he heals everything from his ACL, doesn't lose a step. I think you saw it. I think it was crazy. He ended up leaving Ohio State, went to Alabama because he wanted his shot and he wanted his chance to be in the limelight. And he took advantage of every second of it. He can absolutely just blow the top off a defense. If you do not jam him at the line and he gets behind you, you're not going to catch him. There's no corners in the league that are going to catch him. So I have Jameson Williams number 2, and then number 1, like I said, I have Evan Neal. He's the sure thing in my opinion. He's going to be a great pass blocker. He's going to make sure your franchise QB does not get hurt, and his run blocking is going to improve. It's just again, you go to the pros and you learn those things. So I have Evan Neal number 1. I think he's the most valuable player in this draft.
Listen, no one's arguing with Evan Neal or Ricky Aquano. I think it's need based. Great list, guys. So, Ed, I got a quick question for you. We were talking about this before. Wanted to see how tonight goes. You were awesome, man. Awesome. So, next week we do a mock draft. 3 people dividing 32 teams, a little odd. You want to be in?
Yeah, that would be cool.
So 4 people dividing 32 teams. So what we're essentially, we'll talk about it more. But Ed's been awesome tonight. So we'll have 4 people on next week. We'll talk about a little bit. We do a full mock draft in the first round.
Pretty much do a lottery, and then I'll pick the order, and then we literally just whatever that order is, we rotate through the picks. So you'll know ahead of time what teams you have.
Correct.
You just it gets fun because you don't know.
You guys already have like my top 20 picks on the draft board.
Yeah, but I mean, we're going to take
some
of them.
No, but it's based on needs, too, and we'll take some.
Yeah.
So,
all right, cool.
This is more of like a value type thing. Like, I won't have Kobe Bryant going in the first round.
Right.
Not because I don't think he's a first-round talent. I just, the value's not there.
We don't do trades, so there's no trades. And, again, like Gene said, you have to draft them realistically based off needs who you think they're actually going to take.
Right, like the Chiefs wouldn't be taking a quarterback. Okay.
Yeah. So
that's the fair point. But
it'll be fun.
Do you got to be kidding me? If you don't, it's fine. You don't have to just make one up. We're good.
I don't have anything off the top of my head.
That's fine. Shally, you have one?
Yep, always.
Go ahead.
When it comes to this guy. So I'm going to go back to one of my other favorite whipping boys. I'm going to go to Aaron Rodgers. If you haven't seen the viral video yet, he was practicing with a bunch of junior college and high school kids doing like 7-on-7 things. And he tries to get a little bit sneaky even for Aaron Rodgers. He tries to fit a ball in. Kid intercepts the ball. Runs the ball towards him and hands it back to him, pretty much talks shit to him. Aaron Rodgers, of course, being the just absolute egomaniac that he is, then takes the ball and turns around and throws it at the kid. Like, this kid just made, like the coolest play in the history of this kid's life. He can talk about forever. I intercepted Aaron Rodgers. I have it on video. And Aaron Rodgers has to ruin the moment, as usual, and make it about him and turn around and try to throw the football at him. And he missed, I might add, which makes it even funnier. But for me this week, I will go Aaron Rodgers once again for just continuing to be a huge douche lord.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
Mine's quick. It's actually happened today. I had another one that wasn't as good. Pre-game demonstration involving parachuters at Nationals Park causes brief evacuation of U.S. Capitol. So if you don't know, the Nationals, well, apparently the U.S. Capitol didn't either. The Nationals had a parachuter come in, an Army parachuter to drop in, and the Capitol seen this, and they were like a low-flying plane and a guy jumping out of parachute. We need to evacuate. We're being attacked.
Well, yeah, I mean, everything.
How did that happen? Like a low-flying Army.
Listen, there's a lot going on. Joe might have forgot. I mean, I don't know what happened.
Someone needed to tell somebody, but to me, that's super funny. So for this week, either the Nationals or the U.S. government.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
It was a fun week. We had to go. We had so much information, and we had to go late.
I got one.
Good.
A JUCO pitcher
Oh, I know what you're gonna say. I wish we had the video for. I saw it today.
gave up a home run, and on the way around third base, the pitcher absolutely Bill Goldberg spears him.
Dead serious. I saw it. I saw it this afternoon at work. Like legit comes around third base and the kid runs from the other side of the pitching mound like full speed and just spears the guy after he touches third base. And the best part is, did you hear what the audio? Yeah, so they have like students like commentating the game, like kids that are like in the broadcasting program or whatever, and the kid's like, "Oh no!" Like, it's so funny. It's so funny.
Oh, we gotta get that. We gotta get that video. We'll post it on the page.
Kidding me.
Guys, thank you very much. Thank you, Mike, Toxic Mike. Congratulations again to him and Laura, Toxic Queen and Toxic King, for their brand new baby girl. Thank you, Jamie, for staying late. I'm sorry it was a lot of content. Love you guys. You guys are awesome. If you guys don't, anybody wants to do podcasting, Toxic Radio is where you go. They take care of you here. 100% awesome group. Ed, it was awesome having you on. BigHeadBats.com, Big Head Ed. You see the shirt, and I'm predicting a Big Head win this Saturday morning at 8:45. I'm just kidding.
Fucking traitor.
Just mushed me.
Mushed. Just complete mush.
I am not a mush.
So, a couple of things real quick. Also, I'd like to shout out to Mike. Congrats on the baby, new toxic baby. Sixers and Raptors are in overtime.
Yes, we were watching.
Okay. Yeah, so have I. So have I.
Wow.
Overtime. Celtics came back and beat the Nets by 7.
Get them out of there.
Trying to think what else I have. The Jay Wright stuff is official.
Yep.
Release a statement. University released a statement. They have already named a coach. They are going to go with that guy that I told you. Let me get his name real quick.
Yeah, their assistant coach.
Yeah.
It's fine. Real quick, I just wanted to,
Kyle Neptune.
I just wanted to make a joke at Toxic Mike. He already invoiced me. He normally waits till after the show. He's like, I want my money.
He's pissed.
Now.
But another thing I got, you would have enjoyed this. I work with Brandon. He was in the pool as well. He was winning for a while. Bet Tyler Reddick to win the race on Saturday or Sunday night. NASCAR race is one of the worst bad beats I've ever seen. You'll appreciate this. So he has Tyler Reddick. He bet $25 to win like 300. Has him winning, goes into the last turn. Chase Briscoe literally like Tokyo drifts his car on the dirt. Goes into the turn, fourth turn, like 200 feet from the finish line. Sideways, no brakes, wrecks both of them. Brandon lost his bet. Kyle Busch won. Wow. He's a pussy. I can't stand him. And then on top of that, Brandon got COVID 2 days later. So shout out to my guy Brandon. Bad beat. Now you have COVID. So
Jesus,
it's been a bad week for him.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. This was awesome.
We'll get to recap the game now next week.
Yes,
wow.
Yes, we will.
Yeah.
So
if I'm
thank
not here,
guys.
you know what happened.
We got to sign out. Thank you so much tuning in, and we'll see you next week for Mock Drift. Take care.